in the vein of Brady and Mahomes. And these are guys who are only going to, their legacy is going to be about championships. And Burrow, I think, got a taste of that in 2021 going to the Super Bowl. And he will continue to do the right thing for the team, even if it means his health could be on the line. Just like I would not expect Mahomes to miss a practice for this. I wouldn't expect Brady to miss a practice, even if they were in a contract negotiation. I don't expect this to impact Burrow at all.
Tom Brady left the Patriots. He just went away.
After 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, he left the team.
6 Super Bowls.
He left the team because he wanted more money than last year. I think the risk to health is too significant. Because they were going to, you said yourself that they were going to do this deal before the season starts, right?
I thought they were, yeah.
So what if they...
And what happened? Burrow showed up.
What if it's not done before week 1? So you're telling me he's going to get out on the field and risk... You said, unless there's a back injury or some sort of head injury. I mean, who knows? We're talking a $300 million deal. Can't risk that at all. What if it goes down 15%? That's $25 million.
They're not. I do not think the Bengals are trying to play significant hardball here with Joe Burrow. I don't know why he doesn't have a contract. I always thought he was waiting out Herbert because he knew whatever Herbert signed for, he's going to get more. So those two guys are like neck and neck, right? One was the first pick overall. What was Herbert, the 6th pick overall? They're going to be right there. So I thought he was just waiting out Herbert. And the fact that Burrow showed up to camp in the first place without a contract extension shows you exactly where his mind is here. He knows he's going to get the money, and I think it's all about being out there on the field.
So you expect him out there with a strained calf, coming off a strained calf before the season starts? Do you think he's going to practice and play?
Whenever he's cleared.
So you think he'll play week 1 if he's cleared? If
he's cleared and yet he still does not have a new contract, I think he will go out and play. He knows the margin for error in the AFC is so razor thin, you can't afford to mess around. Plus, the Bengals do start to their first 2 games, week 1 and week 2, against divisional rivals. Like, it catches up on you quick, especially in the AFC North.
Look what happened when KD had a calf injury. He went out there, came back too soon. He missed basically, how many years did he miss?
Like 2? Like a year and a half, something like that?
Yeah, it was definitely 1 full year. It was actually, a year and a half. And honestly, it took him even longer than that to get back to being KD. If you're about to get $300 million, you better be at least close to 100%. And you know the Bengals. You think if he went out there and blew out that calf, like really blew it out, which is possible because obviously he's been dealing with a strain. He was dealing with it before the injury happened yesterday. He really blew it out. Do you think the Bengals are going to be like, you know what? You're sidelined for the year, but we're still going to give you $300 million. Because that's just not the way the Bengals operate.
Well, maybe not, but this is very different for them. And I know they played hardball with Carson Palmer, and it didn't end up working out for them, and that's a cautionary tale. And I don't know how they were with Andy. I mean, you're better friends with Andy Dalton. I've never even met Andy Dalton.
Andy printed money this entire time in Cincinnati.
Right. So I think if Andy Dalton is printing money in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow is going to open up a mint in Cincinnati.
But when Andy got hurt, basically they never opened that checkbook up again. Remember, he broke his thumb in 2010 or something, and that was his last big contract.
I just don't see...
2015.
I don't see Burrow holding this over the organization. To be fair, it's not just quarterbacks who do this. I'm talking about Brady. I'm talking about Mahomes. Saquon Barkley just did this. I think he's like, listen, I realize that I just want to be out there with my team. I think that Burrow, because he's a guy who is going to, his legacy will be determined on championships, and hopefully that's plural for Bengals fans, that he's going to do whatever he can because he's one of those guys in the league that everyone's looking at saying, you're in your prime, you're in your window. You got to start, if you're as good as we think you're going to be, which is really freaking good, then you can't afford to waste time over a contract extension. If you're healthy and you're cleared to play, you got to be out of the field.
Saquon Barkley's making $11 million this year, if all goes well.
Right.
Joe Burrow's about to get, $400 million and then $250 guaranteed. There's no analogy there. I understand Saquon's going out there. And what do you mean his window is closing? How old do you think Joe Burrow is?
No, I'm saying his window's open now.
It's been open since he got in the league. He's 26.
But it's him with Jamar Chase. They've got everything around them now, and you don't want to squander any of it. That's what I'm saying. And he knows that.
I think they have 14 years left on this window.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
I think Joe is going to be very patient here. I don't think he's going to come out onto the field with it. I think, first of all...
So you think he'd be healthy and sit out week 1?
Yes.
Oof.
Because, it's July, what's the date? The 28th.
Yeah.
His calf injury happened on the 27th. That's pretty close to the season. That's how many weeks? 5 weeks?
Yeah, September 10th is the opening.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get out there. First of all, I also don't think it's completely safe. I don't think he's going to be 100% healthy, and he's not going to get out there less than 100%.
That's a different argument, though.
Well,
that's a different argument.
But he's going to have to. He's got this calf injury. He's going to have to play less than 100% this season. I think there's no way he gets back from a calf strain in 5 weeks at 100%.
Well,
you ever had a calf strain?
I have not.
I haven't either.
I know people who have.
Sounds tough, but
sounds painful.
I'm sorry. I'm bringing the Bengals Super Bowl odds down because of what I saw yesterday. Because I think this is going to be nagging him all year long. And you know what? They're in such a tough division. I think the Ravens are nipping at their heels already. So just give them a little bit. Maybe I'm being way too negative about the Bengals. Just a little bit of an impediment here says to me, I think the Ravens might catch them.
Okay, but here's the thing. Bengals have done a very admirable job shoring up the offensive line over the last couple years, including big signing this offseason with Orlando Brown, right? So they've done that. And I would probably take like a 70% Joe Burrow over like a fully healthy Kenny Pickett or something like that. You know, like
how about a fully healthy Deshaun Watson and a fully healthy Lamar Jackson? And by the way, Kenny Pickett could ball out this year.
It's possible. You know, I'm a big Pickett fan. But I think like Burrow, even not at 100%, is still much better than a lot of quarterbacks. Listen, we had the discussion last year, and I think it's still valid to have it. Is Burrow the second best quarterback in the league?
Oh, yeah, he definitely is.
Okay, so I'd rather have a slightly hobbled or whatever, a not 100% Burrow.
But Lamar is like the sixth best, and Deshaun Watson is like the seventh best. So there's a really, really thin margin for error. And also last year, we had this game on TV the other day. The Ravens with Huntley gave the Bengals all they could handle in the playoffs in the end of the season.
Yeah, but that's because the Bengals, they knew they just had to do the absolute bare minimum to win that game.
I don't know if I totally see that. I mean, it was a playoff game.
Oh, wait, the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, it was 24-17. And remember, they had that interception return that was a fluke play, a 99-yard interception return. That was against Tyler Huntley. I think the Ravens kind of outplayed them in that game. So I think they're really close. And then the other thing, too, is the entire AFC is a disaster. It's a disaster of a mess for your Bills, for your Bengals. It's so competitive. There's so many Super Bowl-level teams. I agree that there's not much margin for error, but I think you're already seeing there's a problem here with this calf. I do not expect that he's going to be 100% all season long.
Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in. Tell us what you think about Joe Burrow and about the Cincinnati Bengals and sort of what their future looks like now with Burrow with that injury. And also, if he's fully healthy, honestly, fully healthy, cleared, okay? You think Joe Burrow's not going to take the field because his contract isn't done? Everything Joe Burrow has shown us to this point would be the exact opposite. He's team first. He wants to win. He's judging himself, I think, by the greatest to ever play. He's going to take the field. That's
what's this example you have of him being team first?
Seems like a team guy.
His haircut to me says he's about Joe Burrow. No, he's a super nice guy. No. But I don't know. Everybody's a team guy until they have. We're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars. Just the size of this contract is so daunting that I think he's going to be nervous. And also, imagine if he doesn't get paid. You don't think he's going to have this calf injury in his mind? He's going to be playing careful. Which I hope he signs it before. So. I really hope he signs it this August. So he doesn't even have to think about this.
I mean, listen, I know he hasn't made this much money, but he's already made a ton by being the number one overall pick. So it's not like, it's either this contract or it's back to, like eating bologna every night.
Justin Herbert just signed for somewhere between 180 and 218 million guaranteed. That's so much money, Maggie.
I know. And Burrow's going to get that much whether, this calf injury is nagging or not. He's the franchise.
Yeah, hopefully he gets it soon, though. So I hope this is not an issue. I hope we do not go into week one wondering, is Joe Burrow going to play?
So the quicker he gets the contract signed, the quicker we resolve our debate. Manny, I don't even know if you've heard this debate yet. Manny's in today for Stu. Here's what's going on with me and Perloff with regards to Joe Burrow's contract. I think that Joe Burrow is going to sign a bigger deal than Justin Herbert, right? By average annual value, the $52.2 million a year, Burrow's going to top it because everyone keeps topping each other. Jalen Hurts Lamar Jackson, now Justin Herbert, and the next one will be Burrow. So I think it's going to be more. I don't know about how much, but it's going to be more.
You just robbed me of $300,000, by the way. It's 52.5.
52.5, sorry.
Watch Burrow come in at 52.4.
Oh, God. So if he signs for more than Herbert and I win the bet, that means Perloff has to eat a bowl of Skyline chili with no hands. And if I lose the bet, then I've got to eat the Skyline chili with no hands.
Well, again, like with Perloff, when he did the spicy wing challenge, I thought it was a delicious challenge that he had to awfully endure. I was thinking the same thing just now with the chili. I mean, another delicious treat. What an awful punishment.
Yeah.
Oh, but with no hands. Now you piqued my interest.
Yeah.
I secretly kind of want to lose this bet because I've never had Skyline chili. So the person who doesn't have to eat without hands at least gets to try some Skyline chili.
Yeah, but have you ever done like a pie eating contest or anything? It's not that fun.
I did once. It was very fun.
Oh, okay.
And I was also victorious.
Wait, so you had so the pie eating contest, like Stand By Me, you have your hands tied by?
Yeah. That's what this is going to be.
Yeah, no,
like
I
hands
understand.
behind the back.
I understand. I actually just want to try Skyline chili. I don't care if I'm
get in the car and go to Cincinnati.
I did look. You can buy all sorts of frozen Skyline chili, so we're going to be able to do it here in the studio.
Yep.
It's going to be ugly, but first, that's the other reason. He has to sign before week 1 so we know who wins this bet. It goes into the season. We're going to forget about it.
I kind of like that we don't know when it's coming down because it's like just sort of like this anvil that's kind of hanging over both of our heads, and we have no idea when it's going to drop. 855-212-4CBS. You want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Say hi to the Weedos and the Purple Drinkers who are full effect on this Friday in the chat. They're harmless. They don't bite. Come on in. Say hello. We're also across the country on our CBS Sports Radio affiliates. We're on the absolutely free to download Odyssey app. We're on Sirius XM channel 158. Okay, coming up, you're welcome to weigh in on Joe Burrow. Also, the great debate series, guys. We've reached Friday. Today this week, we're doing the greatest individual players at their position in the NFL. So we did running back, we did cornerback, we did second greatest quarterback because we kind of conceded to Brady. We did wide receiver, we did pass rusher, we did inside linebacker, we did coach, we did fan base. Today we do something a little bit different. We're going to do the most surprising NFL team of all time and the most disappointing NFL team of all time. Coming up first, we'll do the most surprising team of all time. Who wins, Perloff or me? Maggie and Perloff Show on CBS Sports Radio. We're back in moments.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Great sports debate continues today. We're going to go a little bit off the beaten path here. We've been doing position by position, head coach. You know what? It's Friday. We decided let's look at the history of the NFL and do the most surprising team and the most disappointing team. I don't even remember how we got to this, Maggie.
I think it's because we were talking about, this is off of Sean Payton from yesterday. We actually are flipping this on the fly because Sean Payton started talking about how the Broncos last year were embarrassment, right?
Right.
And disappointing. And then he basically forecasted that this is going to be the Jets this year.
Right.
So got us thinking about most disappointing and most surprising NFL teams ever.
All right. Let's hit the music.
The Great Debate Series. Most surprising team ever.
Nice. Who is this? It's Doug. Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Doug.
Most surprising team. Okay.
Loved it.
To me, this was pretty easy.
Yeah.
I just looked at the Vegas odds. They're the biggest underdog to ever win the Super Bowl. They won 4 games the season before. And also, they had a guy who was bagging groceries as their quarterback. It is the 1999 greatest show on turf, St. Louis Rams. They were 150-1 to win the Super Bowl. Then they came out. Trent Green got hurt. And Dick Vermeil and Mike Martz had to go to Kurt Warner, who no one had ever heard of. I guess he was in Packers camp. There's a movie out about how this all went down. What's it called? America's Underdog. It was great. But this team, nobody ever saw at the time, the St. Louis Rams coming. Dick Vermeil was there, and he was in his second life because he had left the Eagles, had this gigantic career as a college football broadcaster. Everyone assumed the game had passed him by. But then Vermeil and Mike Martz, at offensive coordinator, just reinvented the game, stormed to the Super Bowl, beat the Titans in a memorable Super Bowl. This, to me, is by far the most surprising team in NFL history.
What were the Super Bowl odds preseason?
150 to 1.
150 to 1. So, yeah. 15, what is that? Plus,
No, it's plus, so add 2 zeros. So 15000.
right, plus 15,000, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. I got the same odds for you. Just want to make sure we were right on that. Same odds for you for my most surprising team of all time.
Yeah.
The 2021 Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, Joe Burrow's in the news now, and I know it's recent, but let's not let that get in the way. They were 150 to 1 to win before the season. They were projected. They finished the season with a 10-7 record. They were a 4-win team, I believe, the year before, but not just that. And this is why I think the Bengals deserve this here. Not only had they not been to the playoffs in 5 years, before that, they had 5 straight wild card losses. Before the Bengals' magical run to the Super Bowl in 2021, they had not won a playoff game since 1990. That's Boomer Esiason down the hall. He's now been broadcasting for 20 years. Zach Taylor had won a combined 6 games in his first 2 years as a head coach. It would not have been a shock if he had gotten fired. Joe Burrow had played 10 games his rookie season, and they were 2-7-1 when he got hurt. To say the Bengals were out of nowhere, now we think, oh, it's Joe Burrow, so it's the Bengals and Jamar Chase, whatever. Remember, Jamar Chase said he was having trouble tracking the football because it didn't have the white stripe on it from college. You picked them to be, the worst team in the NFL that year?
Sure did.
There you go. Great take. They go all the way to the Super Bowl. The Cincinnati Bengals, I know it's recent, but don't let that get in the way. They're the most surprising team to make the Super Bowl of all time. Now, they didn't win. Clearly, we know that. The Rams won.
So the difference is, they were the same odds, except one of those bets cashed and one did not.
I get it, but I mean...
We're talking about NFL history, but aren't there, and I don't have this in front of me, there's got to be longer odds for a team that got to the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying, you use that for your argument, so I was going to use it for mine. Yes, it didn't cash, but the fact they even made it to the Super Bowl is just insane.
But I feel like there's plenty of out-of-nowhere Super Bowl losers. I mean, I remember the Chargers team, they got blown out by Steve Young. All those weren't there some Bills teams that weren't supposed to be anywhere near there? Getting to the Super Bowl and not winning doesn't get you on this list. You can't be a Super Bowl loser.
Well, I don't know. I mean, could we call the 07 Patriots one of the most disappointing teams of all time simply because they were undefeated till they got to the Super Bowl and then they didn't win? The New York Giants beat them. That's disappointing. The Golden State Warriors, I know we're not doing basketball, but isn't that also disappointing?
We're surprising.
I know we're doing surprising, but I'm just saying, on the flip side, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if you're going to go through the list of Super Bowl losers, and I'm going to do this assignment in the break.
Sorry, you're saying my Bengals are disappointing, right? And I'm saying they're surprising.
No, I'd say they are a surprise, but I bet you there are all sorts of long shots who've gotten to the Super Bowl and lost. There must be more. The Bengals are certainly way high up there. They're incredibly shy. I said they were going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at Super Bowl losers, there's got to be longer odds than that because there's been a cavalcade of losers who made the Super Bowl. If you don't win it, you don't make this list, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you can still be a most surprising team just because you've arrived on the stage after so long of this sort of ineptitude. No one associated the Bengals with being winners, and now they do, and this was the first step.
Okay. No, definitely a huge surprise. I just, I think the Rams get up there and probably the 07 Giants because they won the Super Bowl.
But they have the bag and grocery stories. And
you got a movie, and there's no one even close. The only team close in Super Bowl odds, the team that we did mention, was the 01 Patriots. They were long shots with Tom Brady. By the way, Tom Brady, another great story. So there's a narrative with those two.
The one thing about Brady, though, yes, he's a great story in the 6th-round pick and 199 and stuff, but it's not like Brady didn't go to college he went to one of the most premier programs in the country.
Yeah, lost his starting job.
No, I get it, but Brady, as opposed to Kurt Warner, Brady was still at one of the biggest college programs in history.
Yeah, I hear you. I think those two teams, to me, because they won the Super Bowl, that's the only distinction. Now, Joe Burrow was the number 1 overall pick, obviously. That gives him a little edge over Brady and Kurt Warner. But if that Cincinnati team had won it, then we could have a real discussion here. But the fact that they lost to me, puts them a notch below.
I don't think so, because remember, Burrow also had an ACL the first year, right? When he got hurt after 10 games. So I think that's part of it, right? It's part of like the comeback story. Now, there were some others here that could have made the cut. You mentioned the 2001 Patriots. I thought your Eagles, the 2017 Eagles, who won it with Nick Foles, that was an out-of-nowhere team. I mean, at one point, you guys lost 5 in a row in the middle of the season. And I also thought the 2000 Ravens maybe deserved a little bit of a hat tip there. They did win the Super Bowl. They'd only come into existence in 1996. So to win a Super Bowl in 2000.
Well, they came over from Cleveland.
Well, you know what I mean. But as Baltimore.
Yeah. I guess
the Baltimore Ravens,
as we're looking back on that, I think there was like a crazy little era of parity where you could come out of nowhere and win a Super Bowl, because we just listed a 99 team, a 2000 team, and certainly a 2001 team. There wasn't a lot of rhyme or reason, which probably denigrates all three of them, but those are great options. I think for me, the right behind the Patriots, nobody, I mean, can you imagine that team? Nobody saw Belichick coming in there and winning a Super Bowl. They weren't even on anyone's radar.
No, they weren't. And maybe I'm a little biased because I saw what they did afterwards. So clearly it wasn't like it wasn't fluky, and maybe we shouldn't have been surprised. They were obviously ready to win, and Brady was the icing on the cake.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. We need a big surprise team this year. Something like we need a Villanova. I'm a huge fan of the underdog. I love Villanova beating Georgetown.
We're not going to get it. Not when you have the Chiefs.
Well, I don't know. The Chiefs won 2, right? But they should have lost last year if they didn't call that holding penalty. And they didn't really beat the Niners by that much. There's a lot of parity in the NFL. So it'd be fun to see a young quarterback just take the Jaguars. That would be a great. They won't really be coming out of nowhere, but wouldn't that be fun to see that kind of team this year? I
don't think we're setting up for an out of nowhere season. I think we're setting up for the big dogs, quarterbacks. Now, I'm not sure about the NFC. I don't know if the Eagles, the history's against the Eagles.
Yeah,
that
somebody
they would get
could
back
come out of it.
But, would you be surprised if the 49ers made it to the Super Bowl? No. If Brock Purdy's fine.
Say the 49ers or the Eagles don't make it.
What about the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, they were 12-5 last year. I think that a losing team could come out of the NFC. AFC is going to be tough. What if the Cleveland Browns went on a run?
That'd be wild. 855-212-4CBS. Mike is in Ohio. He's got a thought. Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing today?
Excellent.
Just got a couple quick points. I have to agree with Perloff, only because I'm a Rams fan, and Northeast Ohio is not easy living. But the reason why is that game that the Rams had to play in the NFC Championship game to get to that Super Bowl to beat Tampa Bay, when Warner threw that late touchdown pass at her fourth-string receiver, Ricky Prohl, after they had Akeem, Bruce, and Holt on that roster. And it was a great catch, and it was a great Tampa defense they had to beat. But if you really look back at the stats, being that I'm a Rams historian, the worst record of the entire decade of the 90s was actually the Bengals, but the Rams were the second worst. To do that in 99, I don't think anyone expected him to do anything, especially with Trent Green going down. So just thought I'd add that one, guys. Have a great day.
Mike, thanks a lot. Have a great weekend. In the chat, they're weighing in, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. DJ Witt said, most surprising, got to be the Ravens Super Bowl team. The defense was great, but going 5 weeks without an offensive touchdown, relying on defensive touchdowns and field goals, nothing about love for Dilfer, but come on.
Yeah, that was crazy. It's interesting, that Rams team. Do you remember they drafted Lawrence Phillips, and they hired Vermeil, and they had Lawrence Phillips in camp, and they were like, oh, this is going to be the next generation. And then Phillips flamed out so tremendously.
Yeah.
They really had a big L around their franchise. It was amazing that this came out of nowhere, and it was a little bit of a mini run. It's funny too. We were going to be disappointing later in the show. I think the fact that they only won 1 Super Bowl, maybe they'll make a disappointing list as well.
Yeah, could the 0-2 Rams be on the most disappointing list? Because
or the 0-1.
Or 0-1.
Well, yeah. They were huge favorites against that Patriots team.
Remember, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So once again, this is like hearkening back to our LeBron-Jordan debates.
Yeah.
Does just making it to the title game matter? Apparently, I put a lot of stock in people who just get to the championship.
Well, I mean, for Philadelphia fans, that's a good thing this year because the Eagles and the Phillies both did it and lost. So I took those as kind of, moral victories.
So I have the 2021 Bengals and Perloff has the 99 Rams, the most surprising teams in the history of the NFL. Now, Marco Belletti's in here. And Marco, I'm assuming you are a Giants fan.
Correct.
So I'm assuming you might put the '07 Giants as the most surprising team in the history of the NFL.
Only simply because of the 18-0 with the Patriots. Yeah. But I mean, look, they were good.
They had
the
been
Giants
good
were good.
before, yeah.
They won the division in 05. They had 11 wins. They didn't come from absolutely nowhere. That Ram team in 99 came from nothing.
Yeah.
That 01 Patriot team came from nothing. So it's a little different. It's just the fact that they beat a Patriot team that was historically one of the best ever.
Right. If you're going to do one game, too, I think that would strengthen that sort of, to me, that's like the Villanova Georgetown of Super Bowl history. And then the Broncos beating the Packers was a big one. That was surprising.
Jets, right, but they were the one seed the year before.
Oh, Jets, Super Bowl III.
Going all the way back to Namath.
Yeah, Joe Namath.
Right. The Broncos, though, the year before, they were the one seed, got upset by the Jaguars in the playoffs. So, again, they're not coming from nowhere.
Right,
It was building to it.
That spread was huge, though. I remember that game. Yeah.
I mean, they were the defending champs. Everybody thought the Packers were going to roll in that game.
Well, also, we went through a stretch because I remember it was like some significant years of my childhood, and I know my Buffalo Bills contributed to this, where Super Bowls were blowouts.
Totally.
You
they
know?
were garbage.
It was just garbage. Like, we've been so lucky, honestly, it kills me because the Patriots have made so many Super Bowls, and I'm a Bills fan, but at least the Patriots always give us a good game.
Yeah.
They always are doing something where it's close. And the fact they've been in so many,
I mean, even the one with the Panthers, which was a great game. The Panthers came out of nowhere to be in the Super Bowl in that year.
Yeah, that was an out-of-nowhere team, too.
All right, those Packers with Brett Favre were 11.5-point favorites to beat the John Elway's Broncos. Then the Rams were 2-touchdown favorites over the Patriots, which I think...
That came down a lot, though, before the game, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
God, I mean, that was crazy. That's even bigger than the Patriots-Giants was 12.5. So that's the biggest. I think that's the biggest Super Bowl upset of all time was Tom Brady because it was the greatest show on turf. They definitely qualify for both lists.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let us know what you think, the most surprising NFL team of all time. Give us a call. You can always tweet the show as well. At Maggie and Pearl. We're on Instagram, Maggie and Perloff. Our TikTok is blowing up. Look at Samter. Managing the TikTok account, it's going bananas. Check us out on TikTok. And, of course, the free Odyssey app, SiriusXM, and YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Okay, a lot more to do, including an update on one Pro Bowler's injury. And, well, Sean Payton was back in front of the microphone today. And singing a little bit of a different tune from yesterday. Will it matter? We'll do that next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Got a CBS Sports update for you. Here's Marco.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Now, guys, tough blow for the Saints. Reportedly lost guard Trey Turner for the season. Torn quad. He suffered the injury in practice. As a 30-year-old former third-round pick of the Panthers, expected to battle for a starting spot. Dalvin Cook remains the biggest free agent prize still available, set to meet with the Jets this weekend. Dolphins also said to be interested, and of course, Cook is from Miami and went to Florida State. So Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel asked about their possible level of interest.
You're adding a player to the team, the organization and the player, all the things that they both need to be met for it to work. So he's a free agent, and he's visiting the Jets, and that's what I have to say.
That cleared everything up. Seahawks finally came to terms with Devin Witherspoon. 4-year deal, $31.86 million, fifth-year option. The fifth overall pick in the draft was the last remaining holdout. And from baseball, the Dodgers reportedly getting starter Lance Lynn and reliever Joe Kelly from the White Sox. That in exchange for a couple of minor leaguers, along with outfielder Trace Thompson. I'm Marco Belletti.
We are CBS Sports Radio, and our Twitter handle is @CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Great debate series today. We're doing the most surprising NFL team of all time. For me, it's the 2021 Cincinnati Bengals. For Perloff,
I'm going with the greatest show on turf, 1999 Rams.
All right, let's get to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Mike is in California. Mike, I knew you'd call in about your team. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing good. Actually, I'm just doing an honorable. I think they deserve at least an honorable mention, and it's not for the Super Bowl year, but it's for the 2006 season. They came in off of a 3-13 season the year before, where they played all their home games away games because of Katrina.
Yep.
Started the season with a brand new quarterback, brand new head coach, most of the team still living in and out of hotels, and they were projected to win 7 games and was plus 5,000 to make the Super Bowl. And they made it 10-6 season, and they made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. So I think all those things considered, that for them to even get that far that year, I think was pretty amazing.
Yeah, Mike, you're right about that. Thank you so much for the phone call. Of course, Mike, the longtime Saints fan, diehard Saints fan. To lose to the Bears is tough, because I think that Bears, that Rex Grossman team, right? If I'm remembering that correctly.
Yeah.
That team, I think we look back, and that was actually pretty surprising that they made the Super Bowl.
For me, that era of the Saints is always confused with the Steve Gleason injury. They have the statue outside.
Yep.
So the Gleason blocking the punt, he was a former special teamer for the Saints, was the most important play in Saints history, besides maybe the Tracy Porter pick. So, and then of course he suffered ALS, is still with us, but that was crazy. I mean, do you remember there was a Saturday Night Live skit about that Saints team where the guy playing George W. Bush is sitting in some disastrous press conference, and he goes, well, at least the Saints are back in the playoffs, so we have that going for our country. Because he's saying, like, well, Katrina couldn't have been that bad because the Saints are back. It was so... Yeah, I've never seen a team that was affected by outside things more than that Saints team. It totally is incredible that they were able to turn it around that fast.
Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, obviously you think about teams playing after 9/11, stuff like that, but no, in terms of that natural disaster, and it was awful. So yes, that Saints team certainly deserves, merit. I didn't pick any. I wasn't looking at any team that didn't at least make the Super Bowl.
Well, I got a stat to back you up, by the way.
Oh,
that 150-1 for the Bengals, which ties my Rams as that's the longest odds since 1977 for a team to reach the Super Bowl one way or the other. So those two are ahead of, like, the 94 Chargers no one had. The 2016 Falcons were really...
really? Even Matt Ryan is an MVP season?
I think they were coming off a bad year or something. I'm not sure why, but they were really long odds. There have been a few... probably your Buffalo Bills teams. But I back in the late 80s, early 90s, you just assumed the Bills were going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, what happened when they actually got to the game ended up being pretty bad. But they were a stacked team.
Yeah. Oh, who was?
The Bills were.
Yeah, of course they were.
Yeah.
I do. Was it Stan Humphries, that Chargers team? They were not a good Super Bowl team. By the way, 2015 Panthers with Cam Newton came in at 60-1. That was that one. And the Jake Delhomme Panthers, no one saw either. So those are two pretty big upsets. Someone tweeted us that the Jaguars and the Panthers in the 90s, remember they were expansion teams and they weren't supposed to be good? And all of a sudden, boom.
I know, right away.
Tom Coughlin with the Jags and the Panthers. So a lot of good ones out there.
Who was that? Fox, right? John Fox with the Panthers?
Was he the first? I think John Fox was
Dom
the
Capers, I think.
Was he the first? Okay.
Yeah, Sam Mills on that defense. The Panthers were really good right away, and the Jaguars took a bit, but like Keenan McCardell, Jimmy Smith, Fred Taylor, Mark Brunell, that was a fun team. I always used them in Madden whenever I was playing.
Clearly, if you're just going to rattle off the whole starting offense.
Yeah. Did you guys look, when you were looking at your list, did you consider the Dirty Bird Falcons? Because that team, has there ever been a team that came out of nowhere with a better dance than the Dirty Bird?
Has there been? Well, I mean, the Super Bowl shuffle,
the Icky Shuffle too,
Super Bowl shuffle. Although the Bears weren't coming out of, they were the Super Bowl shuffle. They weren't coming out of nowhere.
There's a lot. I'm looking at long odds. There's a lot of Bengals teams on here. The not only the Bengals team that you actually chose 2021, the 81 Bengals were 60-1 odds to reach the Super Bowl. So basically, if you played in Cincinnati, you're not going to get great preseason odds. Maybe this year, although I don't even know. I think they dropped because of Joe Burrow.
I don't know if they did drop just because of the calf injury. I didn't take a look on any of our
That's a great question.
draft books at all, but I just think they really avoided disaster here. Someone who's trying to avoid disaster is Sean Payton. So his comments to USA Today yesterday, where he basically took out everyone on the New York Jets staff, particularly Nathaniel Hackett, who he said could have been the steward of one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. No sugarcoating that. He also, said everyone in the Broncos organization, everyone's hands are dirty, and what an embarrassment they were last year, all of that. Well, Sean Payton was at the podium today, singing a little bit of a different tune.
I said what I said, and obviously I needed a little bit more restraint, and I regret that. I think I'm pretty good relative to working with the media and pretty savvy, and I just had one of those moments. 2 lattes in the morning, first one I see, and 40 minutes later I'm regretting it.
I mean, the latte defense. Now that is a new one. I've never heard someone be like, I'm sorry, I just had way too much coffee. That is so pathetic. It's funny, but it's really, really pathetic.
It's Sean Payton. It's like one of the top 5 coaches in the league. I think he handled that very well.
The latte defense, I was too sped up on caffeine, and I've been in front of the media for the last 20 years, and I've been in football for 30 or more, and I had too much coffee, and I spilled the beans on everyone, what I really think.
I don't totally believe that. I think he was still positioning himself to make Russell Wilson look better for whatever reason. I don't totally understand why he's doing that, but I still think he wanted to get that message out there. He was probably just too relaxed in a print interview and said things that he shouldn't have did because there was no camera in front of him. I think that was part of it, but he was definitely
like no better.
It wasn't totally an accident. I mean, what's the harm?
So here's my question. Here's what the harm is. So whatever about the Jets and poking the bear, and you and I will disagree on that.
Poking the 3-legged dog is more like it, but okay.
Okay. I mean, in terms of giving them bulletin board material and whatever. You and I will just disagree. I think that matters. You don't. That's fine. I think what he did is a disservice here to Russell Wilson. 2 things. Number one, yesterday in the USA Today article, he basically said Russell wasn't at fault for anything last year because the adults in the room allowed it to happen. That's, to me, to say that about a guy who's a Super Bowl champion and who's had a decade in this league and basically say, well, the adults in the room let him have his strength coach and the quarterback coach, and that's not his fault. He got away with too much. I mean, that to me is kind of disrespectful. Like you're infantilized? Like you're making Russ sound like a child when he's not only a grown-up, but a multi-time Pro Bowler and someone who's established in this league. I thought that was bad form. And secondly, I think that now he's actually done the opposite of what he meant to do, which is I think he wanted to deflect attention away from Russ, and I think now he's brought more on him.
I don't know if I could buy that. I saw a couple weeks ago a segment on some show. Is Russell Wilson in danger of ruining his Hall of Fame chances?
Yeah, we talked about that last year.
Yeah, I'm saying like there's already 100% pressure on Russell Wilson. How does this add past 100%?
Because everyone's talking about the Jets. And everyone was talking about the Jets, and they were the pressure team. And they probably still are. But they're the pressure team. They're the one on Hard Knocks. They're the one with Aaron Rodgers making big guarantees. And a lot of that pressure had sort of moved from the embarrassment of the Broncos last year onto the Jets and what's going to happen. And Sean Payton just redirected the spotlight, in my opinion, right back onto him and Russ. Now, listen, if you can't handle the spotlight, odds are you're probably not going to, do well anyway. But I think Peyton did the thing. He expected to have the total opposite effect of what is going to happen, which is you give inflammatory quotes to a newspaper, those things are going to follow you, and not a day later, and he already has to backtrack it.
Yeah, no, I understand. And what you're saying is there's some truth to it, but I still think the Broncos get 1/100th the national attention that the Jets are this year. I mean, it doesn't matter. The spotlight's not. Has the spotlight come off even the slightest bit off the Jets?
We'll see if they sign Dalvin Cook, but I think it's now back on the Broncos in a way.
Nationally.
I do. It's not that I'm saying people forgot that Russ was in Denver, but it was so disastrous of a season. Just the expectations had to change. And not only that, but like the Chiefs went on and won another Super Bowl and they're in your division. Like I just think it just puts the arrow right back on Peyton and Russ and that whole operation.
What? Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think the Jets are just going to they're eating up all the attention. Next week's going to be fever pitch. It's just going to be all Jets all the time. Everyone's going to be playing the quotes from Hard Knocks. They're going to drown out everybody, which is probably good for the other AFC East teams, to be honest. By next Wednesday, no one's going to be talking about the Broncos. It's going to be Tuesday night. Aaron Rodgers gets in front of a camera. The Jets are the thing right now. It doesn't matter what Sean Payton did.
Christopher Walker is in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. He said, wonder what Sean would spill the beans on with an Irish coffee. Look out.
I mean, you did get me excited when you said Christopher Walker. I was waiting for a walk-in. He needs more cowbell, I think.
Yeah, close.
You know, it reminds me so much of Bill Parcells, too. It's Sean Payton's guy. Parcells would always say these incredibly mean things about other teams. Wouldn't care. Basically, it was like, I guess Sean Payton's entered the old man who does not care about anything phase of his life.
I know. The problem is, whenever coach does this, you write a check that your players have to cash. And I remember working with Bart Scott. He said he didn't like it when Rex Ryan used to talk all big because it actually puts more pressure on the players when you're trying not to do that. It never has the intended effect. Anyway, coming up, one NFL team everyone's sleeping on. Get to that in a minute. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, boy. There's a lot of jelly left. I thought she was making progress. There's a lot of jelly left.
See, I told you.
She needed to hear.
Fake lifelines that you
Oh, my gosh.
me.
I think this is going to end up worse than the peanut butter challenge, and I was sick for 4 days.
Oh, no.
I'm like, my hands are shaking.
No, this is going.
This is all the
This is
sugar.
going terribly awry. Do you want to take a small break, and then maybe we assess your vitals?
I kind of want to just drink a little water and maybe stand up.
Why don't we
maybe just start running out of the office.
Honestly.
Well,
Real talk here,
That
man.
was just
Real
a
talk
really
here.
big bite there.
Can we get some makeup? You look green.
Please don't tell me I need makeup.
That's mean.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, hanging out on this summer Friday. Hope wherever you are, you're off to a great start this weekend. We got our great debate series continuing. And on this Friday edition of the Great Debate Series, we're moving away from the individual accolades as we have done all week long. And we're going to a team award, the most surprising NFL team of all time. And later in the show, in about 20 minutes, we'll do the most disappointing NFL team of all time.
Yeah. No recency bias on your part.
No, I picked the 2021 Bengals as my most surprising team of all time. I mean, it's recent, but just think how shocked you actually were when the Bengals are coming off of a 4-win season. This is before we knew exactly what Joe Burrow was. I know he won a championship at LSU, but he had won 4 games in his rookie season. Zach Taylor had won 6 combined games in his first 2 years coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, this was not a given. And to go all the way to the Super Bowl, and I guess with 150 to 1 odds, but I guess the other thing too, I know they didn't win it, but also who they took out to get there. I think that's going to end up mattering more and more. It already does matter as we move forward. To take out the Chiefs and Mahomes in Arrowhead, I mean, the Chiefs are like as close as we have as a dynasty since the Patriots.
I think that there's a couple of reasons. The Bengals' success last year, I think, makes you think in your head, like Monday morning quarterback, oh, that wasn't that big a surprise because they're really good now. You might do that mistake. And also the Chiefs have obviously been vulnerable in different playoffs. They got blown out by Tampa Bay the year before. Was it the year before? Or yeah.
In the Super Bowl, but they lost half their offensive line.
Yeah, but it wasn't, I don't know. I wasn't so shocked by that year. It feels like there's so much parity right now that I have to go back to the Rams for mine. The Rams were so bad. One thing that is in common, both were inept franchises who came out of nowhere. I think the same is true for the Patriots in 2001. Like, nobody saw that coming. Yeah, I like your pick. I think it was a huge shock. But you know what's going to happen with history? We're going to look back and say, oh, Joe Burrow was the number 1 pick. We should have seen that coming.
I know. And I know Kurt Warner has, of course, the most out-of-nowhere story.
Except maybe Tom Brady. You don't think Brady's...
Warner's is way more out of nowhere.
Yeah, but Brady's is still incredibly unexpected. A 6th-round pick.
Brock Purdy got to the NFC Championship game. No, I get what you're saying. But Kurt Warner was basically, it was like almost out of football. Brady was still on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, 6th-round pick, barely on the roster. He could have easily been out of the NFL.
The other thing, too, is like Northern Iowa, where Kurt Warner went to school, versus Michigan, Michigan's like one of the richest athletic departments in the country. They have this storied history. Like, I know Brady lost his job there.
But how many Super Bowl quarterbacks have ever lost a job?
Well, I mean, Joe Burrow had to transfer out of Ohio State, then got to LSU and won a national title. I mean, he's got that underdog sort of thing.
kind of, but I mean, he was a number 1 overall pick.
No, I get it.
It's a lot different.
That's like Baker Mayfield still calling himself an underdog. It's like, it just doesn't fit.
By the way, we're totally ignoring the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I'm sure there was, the first Joe Montana Niners was crazy. No one saw that coming. Bill Walsh took over a 2-win team, a team that had won 2 games, 2 seasons in a row before. So there are a lot of guys. But what happens in my mind is I'm like, of course Joe Montana and Bill Walsh won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right. They were about to embark on like one of the most successful runs in the history of the league.
I think we both like the 07 Giants. You were in New York. Did you see that coming? Because I sure as heck did not.
No, I mean, people were still in shock after it ended.
Yeah,
like they couldn't believe
happened?
what they saw. Yeah,
I remember I was at the game, and I remember I turned to the person next to me. I'm like, wait, what happened there? Was Eli Manning sacked? This is 15 years ago. I'm still not quite sure how the Giants pulled that off.
No one even who was broadcasting the game knew whether or not Eli got sacked on that play. Okay, let's get to our Cowboy Quickie. Sorry, side note, conversation is broken out in the chat. So who is the more impressive story? Is it Warner or is it Brady? That's interesting. I think it's definitely Warner. Anyway, okay, back to the Cowboys.
Brady's not too bad, though.
Is that worth a poll question?
Sure.
Samter?
Who's got the more impressive narrative? Is that how we're going to word it? It's an obnoxious word.
Who's the more impressive story? Kurt Warner or Tom Brady?
I mean, obviously Warner came out of nowhere more, but Tom Brady won all the Super Bowls. So I think it's a good debate.
Okay. Samter, get on that. Thank you. At Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. To the Cowboys. Micah Parsons speaking to Good Morning Football had this to say about his beloved boys.
I think we are the top team in the NFC. No one can beat you except for you beat yourself. I think we are the top team when we talk about, numbers, experience, guys who we get back. I think we're the only team where we gain players.
Okay, well, that's not true. But first of all, what is Micah Parsons going to say, right? You're going to project confidence here. Of course he's going to. Little dismissive of the Eagles, little dismissive of the 49ers.
I think he was trying to make up for that video during the draft when the Eagles drafted Jalen Carter. He's like, oh, no, how are we going to beat them now? So I think he was trying to make up for that, but okay.
You can't say, well, they didn't add anybody when you were, physically ill when the Eagles got Jalen Carter.
I do think that, the Cowboys added Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore, I believe, but they did lose Ezekiel Elliott, which to me is a giant plus, too. So I do understand where it's coming from. And they're getting a healthier Dak Prescott. Remember he broke his hand in week 1 of last season. I think his optimism is well placed. That being said, I think these top 3 teams are just in the mix, right? Do you feel like the Cowboys are a strong favorite? No.
I don't think they're the runaway favorite. No, that is your Cowboy Quickie. Kind of hard to project in the NFC. It just feels like there's 3 teams. You know who they are, the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the 49ers. Yep. And then anyone else would kind of fall under the out of nowhere sort of, I think that category.
Well, there is this weird team. I'd say the 4th team is the Lions because everyone knows the Lions they're pretty heavy favorites to win that division. So at least they're a division winner.
But you got to tell me if their defense is going to get any better, because if I'm going to give you characteristics of those top 3 NFC teams, it's the Cowboys, the 49ers, and the Eagles. Great defense, great defense, great defense. And if the Lions don't, I know they've made some, additions and tried to shore that up, but if they haven't meaningfully fixed what's going on the defensive side, they're not going to get anywhere close to, maybe you win a playoff game, but I doubt it.
I don't know. I feel like the NFC's been pretty unpredictable. No one saw Jalen Hurts leading the Eagles to the Super Bowl last year. That just wasn't.
But we knew the defense was great, though, and they made the trade for A.J. Brown. They did kind of go all in.
I don't think that defense was great at all. They
had so many holdovers from the Super Bowl team.
Their defense with Jonathan Gannon, anytime they face a good quarterback, they let up 35 points and never touch the ball the whole time. So I think it's very unpredictable. I'll give you a couple dark horses that I was looking at.
Okay.
Total dark horses. I don't think the Seahawks are a total dark horse. They won the division last year, or they made the playoffs last year. What about 2 that I'm very curious about, and you're going to laugh at me?
Okay.
The Rams and the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm not going to laugh at you on the Rams. They have 40 rookies in camp, which feels like a lot, but I don't trust that Stafford's spine is going to be able to hold up here.
Everyone says Stafford looks amazing, so.
Yeah.
And Cooper Kupp. Stafford, Cooper Kupp on one side, Aaron Donald on the other.
And then the Buccaneers, I'm not expecting much from.
The Buccaneers have so much talent. They're like the Cleveland Browns. They have how many All-Pros are on that roster? They just are missing an important position to have an All-Pro.
And that would be quarterback. Samter has a Joe Burrow update. All right, tell us.
Well, according to Zach Taylor, who spoke to reporters, that Joe Burrow will be sidelined several weeks after suffering his calf injury. Several weeks. Which could be training camp. It could be the start of the season. We don't know.
Technically, what's several? Like, I know a few is technically 3, right?
Yeah, I don't think several has a strict definition like that, I don't think.
Several feels like more than a couple or a few. A couple is 2, few is usually 3, and then several feels like it could be anywhere between 3 and 10.
I mean, we kind of sound like idiots having this conversation. The reason why he said several is so he didn't have to get, like, boxed into a timeline there.
But we're unboxing it. We're opening up that Pandora.
We're doing a great job.
I'm very happy that I put several dollars on the Baltimore Ravens to win the AFC North this morning at plus 250. And the Bengals weren't that much higher than them. But I think this is now the Ravens. I've seen enough.
I know,
this
but
is going to slow them down.
Lamar hasn't been healthy the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, but Burrow's already not healthy.
Yeah, I get it. Wait,
the season's right around the corner, and he's out several weeks. And you know what several means?
Do I? I don't.
Neither do I. I was hoping you did because explain it to me.
4 to 6? I have no idea. Wait, did he give an update on the severity of the calf strain? Is the question. I'm assuming some reporters asked him that.
Well, I mean, he'll say several weeks.
Grade 2.
I don't know if they gave a specific grade, but he said several weeks. So they just called it a calf injury and a strain.
I always get confused. Is a grade 1 sprain the good kind or a grade 3 sprain? Because a grade 3 burn is the bad kind, right? You want
a first degree, a second degree, third degree? Oh, that's
first degree is the worst or the best?
I always thought grade 1 is good. No? For a strain, for a calf strain. I might be wrong on that. Like, it's like, you want to know the other one I never get right? DEFCON? Are you trying to be DEFCON 1 or DEFCON 5?
You want 5. 1 is the worst.
1's the worst.
Yes.
And that's War Games, right?
Yeah. So grade 1 is mild for a strain, and a grade 3 is severe.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Mild, moderate, severe.
Right. You want lower numbers when it comes to
But first degree burn's the one you don't want, right?
I think first degree burn
Or is the one you want?
Manny.
I don't think you want any burns.
You know what? Fair. I'm like, Manny, stop laughing, start Googling. No, I'm just kidding.
This is too confusing. So DEFCON 5 is the least severe, but a grade 3 is the most severe of the sprains.
Oh, okay. And a third degree burn is actually the most severe burn. Okay.
Someone has to change here.
That clears everything up.
Yeah, I know. Someone has to change. Who is it? I think DEFCON has to change.
No, because third degree burn... Yeah, third degree burn, same thing, is the worst.
Got it.
Therefore, DEFCON has to change.
Yeah, DEFCON 5 should be the worst.
Yeah, with all the aliens walking around, I think the government needs to change this up now.
Well, it's like single A, double A, triple A. You know, you want to keep getting better or worse, more severe, bigger. Closer to the majors.
Welcome to Friday on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
What's that line from Billy Madison? Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to what we just said.
That's all right. Can we blame the aliens on this one? I don't know.
No, just blame Samter.
By the way, Joe Burrow, he just has a calf strain. There was no burn involved. I want to make that clear.
And they have not given a grade on the strain.
And that grade would probably confuse us anyway, so
honestly,
I'm glad.
Though, I blame Zach Taylor now. Like, grade the strain.
What good would that have done?
Grade. I don't know. It matters, I think.
Oh, man. Are you starting to get nervous about this Joe Burrow situation? Because I am. And I don't think... Now they got to pay him out of guilt. Like, dude, we feel bad. You're out several weeks. Here's $300 million.
You know what's funny about our chat? So we call them the Weedos because around every 4:20 in every single time zone in America, they all get lit up. I think that conversation somehow made sense to all of them.
Yeah. They totally followed along.
They were so stoned that somehow it all made sense. Wow, this is for Burrow. Okay, so several weeks. Man, that sucks. It's not the worst that it could be, obviously, but that still sucks. And I know he's not breaking in new people into the offense or, it's not like you're learning a whole new system, but still to lose that time. And now it just goes back to Perloff and I to our bet. Do you think that Joe Burrow now, who's waiting on a new contract, do you think he starts to get a little nervous here? And if he was thinking about taking a team-friendly deal, does he reverse course on that and say, I better get every dollar here if I'm going to...
Team-friendly deals like 10 years, $575 million. So a team-friendly deal is going to be big enough that I think he can squeeze it. I still think he goes team-friendly. That's what our bet is on. But also, he's got very specific needs. He's got to keep T. Higgins, and he's got to keep Jamar Chase. So he's even with his calf strain, his brain is fine, and he realizes, hey, I better take a little less. That's what I would do.
I still think that he's going to end up taking more than Herbert. That's just me. Whoever loses the bet has to eat a bowl of Skyline chili with no hands. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Adrian's in Maryland. He's got a surprise team for us, part of our great debate series. We're doing the biggest surprise NFL team of all time and the biggest disappointment of an NFL team of all time. Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Good. TGI Friday for you guys as well.
Apparently for us, it's like double Friday around here.
Hey, it's not a big surprise, but it is a surprise. The 92-93 Cowboys, they the year before they went into Detroit and got killed by Maggie, by your Barry Sanders. And nobody thought they'd come back the next year. And next year they came back, went into San Francisco, won the Super Bowl as well. So, like I said, not a big surprise, but a surprise enough.
Yeah. Adrian, thanks for the call. Fantastic call. And it's one of those things where look back on it now, not a big surprise. Turns out that was going to be a dynasty.
Well, they were 11-5 the year before. So the teams, the Patriots won 5 games before they started the 01 dynasty. Rams won 4 games.
Bengals won 4.
Well, they didn't win the Super Bowl, though.
No, they didn't, but they got there.
All right. I just want to keep that clear. But the Cowboys in 89, when they got Aikman, were 1-15. That's pretty crazy to go from 1-15 to a Super Bowl in 3 years. Certainly qualifies.
Yeah. We have in the chat, Ben Dozo says, who's driving the bus, Maggie? That's a great question. No clue. On this Friday?
Kevin
Not
Durant.
Sure at all. Yeah.
Kevin Durant, actually, Summer Friday, I think actually Kevin Durant as a bus driver fits this because apparently he is smoking a lot these days.
Oh, yeah.
Don't want him driving the bus, though.
No, he should be a passenger only. Yeah, Kevin Durant getting very honest about his use of, well, it's not Aaron Rodgers level psychedelics, but his use of marijuana. Actually, the Weedos will love this story too. We'll do that for you next. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You can think about this in the break. Have you ever found yourself maybe on a substance when you shouldn't have been? Manny just nodded.
Here's a question. Have you ever found yourself where your radio show sounds like we're all on substances, but we shouldn't be? Because I'm finding myself in that position right now.
I know. Michael in California says, not all of us, Maggie. Some of us still have to work till 5. Getting closer. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. The bus gets back on the tracks right after this. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on the Maggie and Perloff show. Maggie's upset because the Bengals will not define their terms. They are telling us the quarterback, Joe Burrow, is out several weeks with a calf strain. She wants more specificity. She wants a grade, like that would help her. If they had said grade 2, would that have helped you?
No, but I could have relayed that information to the public. Like several weeks in a grade 2 strain. Sounds pretty bad.
Okay, so we know less than when we started here, which is the Friday show motto. We're just, it's about 1,000 degrees here in New York City. So hopefully we won't screw anything else up. But let's get back to the great sports debate series. So earlier we did our surprise teams. Greatest surprise team in NFL history. I went with the 99 Rams.
I went with the 2021 Cincinnati Bengals.
All right. Enough of this positivity. Let's go on the disappointing side. The most disappointing team in NFL history.
The Great Debate Series. most disappointing team ever.
And Doug nailed it with this
Doug
liner.
adds a gravity to that liner. It's like,
it is great.
Ever.
Because we basically changed our minds to do this yesterday. So we appreciate him doing this on the fly. A little peek behind the curtain there. So I'm going first here. My most disappointing team in NFL history is the 1997 Dallas Cowboys. This was in the height of the dynasty, right? So you won in 92, you won in 93, at least got to the conference championship game in 94. You won it again in 95. 96, you lost the divisional round. And then here comes 1997, where it felt like nobody on the Cowboys could get on the same page. It was still Aikman, it was still Smith, it was still Irvin, but it was infighting. It was the last year of Barry Switzer, where he ends up, I believe, resigning at the end of the year. They go 6-10. They miss the playoffs completely. There was a lot of stuff going on off the field in the season preceding this, and then obviously bleeding into this season, right? I mean, I don't know if I have to rehash all of that for you, but a lot of legal trouble.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of
drugs.
A lot of drugs, allegations of drugs, allegations even a little bit more serious than that, especially for Michael Irvin and Eric Williams. They end up getting cleared of those allegations. This was the first time that they had a losing record since 1990. And then the other part about this, now Deion Sanders did break a rib late in the season here, so I guess maybe that's a little bit of an excuse, but Perloff, also why this is disappointing is what it set off. So Switzer is gone after that. Then they go to Chan Gailey for 2 years. Then Dave Campo for 3 years. Then Bill Parcells for 4 years. Then Wade Phillips for 3 years until they get to Jason Garrett for 9 years. It was like they just couldn't find any consistency on the coaching front until they actually waited too long to fire Jason Garrett. So to me, 1997 Cowboys, a 6-10 season and missing the playoffs, is the most disappointing team in history.
Yeah, I guess my only problem with that is, who is their coach again?
Barry Switzer.
And what league was this? Was this college football?
Well, he had won a Super Bowl and gotten...
Kinda. I mean, like...
gotten back to the divisional round the next year.
I mean, come on. He was not fit to lead this team at that time.
12-4, then 10-6.
Yeah, I felt like the wheels were coming off that Dallas one. Yeah, that was incredibly disappointing. The 94 season was also disappointing when they had beaten San Francisco twice, and then I think they lost the Niners in 94.
Yep, in the conference championship.
Yeah, I mean, that was a classic dynasty derailed because they had so many personal problems. Boys Will Be Boys, isn't that the Jeff Pearlman book, and all the crazy stuff that was going on?
Well, and also Aikman and Switzer weren't getting along, and Switzer would kind of air out Aikman in press conferences and stuff.
Once again, go back to Troy Aikman's Oklahoma days. Okay, my most disappointing team actually had a lot more success on the field than yours, but they were disappointing because of what had happened previously and what had happened after. I'm going with the 1986 Chicago Bears. Now, in my opinion, the 85 Bears are the greatest NFL team, maybe the greatest team aside from, I guess, the 27 Yankees of all time. They were very famous, 15-1. They had a Super Bowl shuffle. Walter Payton on the offense, Jim McMahon at quarterback, all-time defense. So you would have thought that's what? First of 5 championships, first of 6-7 Super Bowls. They were the new Steelers. They were so on top of the world, there's no way they could lose. So they go out. They're 14-2 the following year, but it doesn't look right. Buddy Ryan, their defensive coordinator, who was carried off on players' shoulders after the Super Bowl win, gone. He goes to Philadelphia. The defense is still incredibly good, but the offense is so bad. Jim McMahon went 6-0 as a starter. In those games, he threw 5 touchdowns and 8 interceptions.
Aye.
He actually got taken out by that Packers guy, that dirty hit. I think his name was Martin. I'm sorry, I don't have the name off the top of my head. So Jim McMahon falls apart. Somehow Doug Flutie ends up there. They lose in their opening round playoff game against the Washington then Redskins. The dynasty, not only did it not become a dynasty, it didn't even come close. They totally fell apart. If you ever watched the documentary, the 30 for 30 on that Bears team, it was classic, just like your Cowboys team. It was, they could not handle winning. Egos got in the way. Buddy Ryan and Mike Ditka, the room was not big enough for both of them. Ditka made a lot of mistakes. Offensively, they were a disaster. It should have been the start of a dynasty, and it was not. So even though they were 14-2, that is my most disappointed.
Oh, my God. A 14-2 team that makes the playoffs is your most disappointing team of all time.
So disappointing. That is heartbreaking.
It went 14-2.
Yeah. I would also put that 15-1 pack. Was the Packers 15-1 the year after Aaron Rodgers won? Yeah, they were unbelievably disappointing too. I think it's more disappointing.
All time, and they won 14 games and made the playoffs, and that's an all-time disappointing team. I feel like that can't be there is no criteria. This is artist's choice, dealer's choice for Perloff and I. But I mean, a team that makes the playoffs inherently is not a disappointment, right?
No. You think, okay, you know who else I put on there? The 16-0 Patriots. They're incredibly disappointing.
Well, that's because they were going for, like, immortality.
So was this Bears team.
But
they were the greatest team ever.
Okay.
Ever. The greatest team in the history of football. And they can't even win a playoff game the next year? Isn't that disappointing?
No, but at least they were, like, a winning team that did get back to the playoffs. I don't know. You and I have much different definitions of what most disappointing means.
Yeah, I
think most disappointing. That's why I put the Cowboys. They didn't even make the playoffs that year after they had been a dynasty. It's like they fell apart.
I just know so many people historically look at the lost opportunity of the 85 Bears into the 86 Bears. It was, and every single thing that could go wrong that season did go wrong. Even though they won a ton of games, their defense was still all time. It was just heartbreaking for not just Bears fans. I think there are a lot of neutral fans who love that team as well.
So one of the things that I tried to stay away from just when I was looking at most disappointing teams, any team where the quarterback was injured, I took that away. I don't know how you decided to come up with your team. We just talked it over a little bit, but I discounted any team where it's like, your quarterback, went down in week 3, so you ended up missing the playoffs. I didn't count those teams. I don't know if you factored those teams in.
You mean like Tom Brady broke his leg?
No, I was thinking like one of those Rich Gannon Raiders teams, like the year after they lost in the Super Bowl, and didn't Gannon get hurt, I believe, the next year? So it's like, I can't say they're the most disappointing because you get hurt.
Well, I mean, listen, let's look at this year. The Rams are the worst defending champion in the history of Super Bowls. Nobody looks at them as, I don't think they make any list of disappointing because for some reason, our expectations had lowered on that Rams team.
I think because they were like, F them picks. This is all about one season.
Yeah,
it's like, and that was your season.
And Stafford got hurt, and Kupp was whatever. It just seemed like
even
they
flew Baker Mayfield in to start a game. He's learning the playbook on the plane.
And Perloff, I'm really surprised that there's one team that you didn't go with, or maybe I'm not that surprised with one team that you didn't go with. The most disappointing team of all time, without question, is the Dream Team 2011 Philadelphia Eagles. They brought in Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, Nnamdi Asomugha, Vince Young, Ronnie Brown, Evan Mathis, Steve Smith, Jason Babin. With Michael Vick, they had Chip Kelly at the helm. That was supposed to be, or was that Andy Reid? Maybe.
It was still Andy Reid.
I think it was still Andy Reid.
Yeah.
That was a team that was supposed to go undefeated, win everything. Your backup quarterback is Vince Young. Oh my goodness, Michael Vick. It's going to be so perfect. They're going to have them both in the backfield at the same time. They can run the ball everywhere. LaShawn McCoy was there, and they sucked.
And they called themselves a dream team, which immortalizes them.
One guy did. Vince Young did. I mean, Vince Young.
Yeah, but nobody stepped up and said, "Hey, Vince, chill out."
Can you seriously? First of all, they weren't even the favorite heading into that season. But can you list those names? Like, who are those people? Even I'm like, what? Who?
Nnamdi Asomugha was an All-Pro.
Nnamdi Asomugha was the most overpaid player in the history of the NFL. Who else?
Yeah, but we didn't know that then. At the time, everyone was
at the time,
he's the guy.
He was a massive offseason
That was
signing.
the big signing. But
At
then
the
you
time,
list like Jason Babin
he's the next Revis, is what people were saying.
Rodgers-Cromartie.
Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie was a multiple Pro Bowler at corner. Vince Young, obviously. Ronnie Brown.
Vince Young was a backup quarterback. Ronnie Brown was a scrub.
Ronnie Brown was a top 5 pick and I believe a multiple 1,000-yard rusher.
I bet you they signed him at the minimum that year, but go ahead.
Steve Smith, who has a couple good years with the Giants.
Oh, God.
Not Steve Smith Sr., the other Steve Smith.
No, it wasn't Carolina's Steve Smith.
No, that's Steve Smith Sr. Yeah,
Vince Young screwed up, and I don't think until Vince Young said that, people were like, "Oh, that's a pretty good team." But then he took it to the next level. I don't think that they were that disappointing.
They were.
They were 8-8, and they had a 10. Their win total was 10 games, and they got 8 wins.
Well, yeah, they went from 10-6 to 8-8 while adding all those pieces.
Well, and the other part too is that was they didn't make the playoffs that year, and they didn't make the playoffs the next year, and that's when they fired Andy Reid. So it was like this was the downslide here, the backslide. Then they hired Chip Kelly, and that was they won 10-6 the first year, but then a disaster.
Who was the quarterback in 11? Was it? I
Michael
know
Vick.
it was supposed to be. How many did he play?
7 games.
Okay. and it was Cobb, the backup quarterback. But then again, I mean, they weren't a Super Bowl favorite, like an overwhelming favorite. Like my Bears were 3-1 favorite to win the whole thing. They're one of the great Super Bowl favorites of all time.
It was Vince Young was the backup because he's the one who made the declaration.
Was he second string?
Yeah.
So who else played for that team? Anyway, regardless, that you look back and like, well, what the heck were we? That's a classic. You think that they win in March, and those guys turned out to be not good.
Other disappointing teams were your most surprising team was the 99 Rams, the 01, but I thought even more the 02 Rams were really disappointing because that's when Kurt Warner was just benched, right? I don't even think it was an injury. He ended up getting replaced. And I think had to come, what was that?
He had a thumb injury that kind of derailed his entire career for a couple years there, but Bolger basically took the job from him.
Right. And Bolger was really was good when he got the job. And
remember, Falk was super unhappy about his contract that year and causing all sorts of chaos behind the scenes.
Yeah, and so like that was supposed to maybe be a dynasty, and it just sort of flittered out.
I would actually choose 01 because they were the biggest Super Bowl favorite of all time. They should have destroyed that Patriots team.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the greatest show on turf Rams were not that great in the postseason. They were always in these close defensive games, and I don't think they took that Patriots team seriously. So both those teams, I mean, they should have won 3-4 Super Bowls.
There you go.
By the way, Mike Vick was okay. So Mike Vick did start most of that season. He was 7-6, and Vince Young played a little bit. But why am I not that disappointed? You know what it is?
What?
Because the Eagles won Super Bowl in 2017, something you can't relate to at all, Maggie.
Well, of course not, but that's not what we're talking about.
So it's not disappointing if I have my championship T-shirt 6 years later.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. Of course this is disappointing. Also, Vince Young said dream team, and to Samter's point, there weren't a lot of people telling him like, hey man, chill out. It was like, yeah, we are.
No, it was so much like that Washington. Sean Payton said the other day.
Yeah, the 2000 Washington team.
Quote unquote dream team.
Yeah, Deion Sanders and Bruce Smith.
Adding free agents never helps. It's the most overrated thing in all of sports.
I don't know. It helped the Rams. It wasn't free agents. I mean, they traded for Stafford, but they brought on Odell.
Right, but they didn't. Who they added?
Jalen Ramsey they traded for.
Yeah, those were trades. But,
right, but
generally, like signing, there's a reason guys get to free agency. So I think it's the most overrated phenomenon in sports. And we're like, oh, we got this 33-year-old. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it right now. There's a certain 27-year-old running back who everyone's all excited about. Dalvin Cook's not helping anybody win a Super Bowl, Mike Samter.
Do we have the Dalvin Cook?
So Dalvin Cook is pulling the Vince Young, and he's already jinxing a team he's not even on yet.
You could probably say that, especially with the roster that they got put together already and with the acquisition of Aaron Rodgers. So, adding a guy like me, you know what I bring to the table. And, like you said, it could probably be a super team if we put it together.
Oh. You're not even here yet.
Kiss of death.
Go sign with the Patriots. Make them a super team. I don't even want him anymore.
Honestly.
I don't want that Juju.
What's the running back?
Juju is actually in New England.
What's the star running back that the Super Bowl team added that got them over the top? I'm just trying to remember that off the top of my head because, there never, ever, ever was one.
Fournette was a good signing for the Bucs.
Yeah,
Fournette, he's minimum.
Playoff Lenny.
He's not going to get a lot. The Jets aren't going to give him a lot.
Leonard Fournette. Where was Leonard Fournette before the Bucs signed him?
I'm saying he wasn't, but then he gets up there with Brady and the like, and all of a sudden he's a champion.
He was a third overall pick. He was somebody.
I think he was a street free agent when they signed him.
Brady insisted.
So was Dalvin Cook. But Dalvin Cook's not going to get a huge contract.
How dare he say super team? Does he not realize they're just asking him to take the bait here?
But you can't do it to a team you haven't even joined yet. I know he's trying to sell himself to get the money, but come on.
The only reason he's even saying anything about going to visit New England or whatever is he's trying to get more money from the Jets.
I know.
It didn't help the Jets with Rodgers comes out that he took this big pay cut, and now you go to Dalvin Cook and you're going to try to nickel and dime him. I don't know. Yes.
Yeah. By the way, Fournette. I'm looking back on Fournette. That was nothing like this situation with Dalvin Cook. You never add an older running back. You think you're going to do something with this, and it just doesn't work out that way. You guys know that.
Okay, but they're also just they would be adding him as insurance for Breece Hall, who they're expecting is coming off a knee injury. So it's not like they only have Dalvin Cook. He's like a guy to maybe weather the storm until Breece Hall is fully healthy. So it's not like all their eggs are in the Dalvin Cook basket.
Yeah, but I think that there's going to be the super team narrative around them. You know who started that?
Dalvin Cook.
But everybody. I mean, everyone's viewing the Jets as a street. They remind me of the Eagles. I'm sorry. Kind of like people just getting way too into this team because you don't win anything in March. You can't possibly win a game until September 10th or 7th.
855-212-4CBS. Oh, boy, Dalvin Cook. 855-212-4227. The dreaded two-letter word, ST. Super team. Ouch.
So, by the way, the Jaguars cut Leonard Fournette at the end of camp, and he was just floating on the streets, and the Bucs signed him out of nowhere.
Yes, we know.
He wasn't a free agent signing. He was on the garbage heap. He's nothing like that.
He was a free agent.
Yeah, but it's not like there was any wooing for him. He had just gotten cut from a losing team.
There's no wooing going on for Dalvin Cook.
Ooh, I disagree. You don't think people are into Dalvin Cook?
But who's wooing him? These are the Jets versus the Jets. They're negotiating against themselves. And if they don't want to pay him, then the Patriots will take him. That's how this feels to me, or else the Patriots would have signed him already.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
What's the other team?
He said on Dan Patrick's show today there are 5 teams.
Yeah, and I'd say that too if I were trying to get one team to pay me more money.
You don't buy it, huh?
I do not. No, I don't. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, let us know what you think. RPC in the chat. Is Maggie going to follow up on the Durant tease? Yes. I'm going to have to pay that off after this. Kevin Durant apparently showed up stoned to a situation you shouldn't show up stoned to. Get that after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Marco Belletti.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
All right, guys, Joe Burrow expected to be sidelined several weeks with that strained calf suffered in practice yesterday. All in all, though, Bengals breathing a sigh of relief after seeing him carted off the practice field. Dalvin Cook still on the market. 4-time Pro Bowler set to visit the Jets in the weekend. Cook could be the next big name to join Gang Green, playing alongside Aaron Rodgers as they look to hoist a Lombardi trophy for the first time since 1969.
I'm gonna sit down with my agent and we're gonna go over things. Right now we're just taking it one step at a time. And I think that's what this process is about. You kind of evaluate everything. You don't skip the process of going through everything.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to go through one step at a time, and the Jets right at the top of the list. So let's go check the box.
Cook, courtesy of Good Morning Football on NFL Network. Seahawks coming to terms with 5th overall pick Devin Witherspoon, 4 years, $31.86 million. Saints reportedly lost guard Trey Turner for the season, torn quad. Dodgers a move as we inch towards Tuesday's trade deadline. Reportedly get starter Lance Lynn and reliever Joe Kelly from the White Sox for a couple of minor leaguers, along with outfielder Trace Thompson. Chicago also sent reliever Kendall Graveman to the Astros. I'm Marco Belletti.
We are CBS Sports Radio, and our Twitter handle is @CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Clean my room until I got high.
Thank you, Manny. This is on the nose. Welcome, Maggie and Perloff. Now, when Kevin Durant did an interview with David Letterman not that long ago, he admitted that he was stoned during the interview. But hey, you're sitting down to an interview with David Letterman. I mean, you know, the stakes aren't that high. It's just like,
oh, I don't know. I mean, it's actually, it was on Netflix, right? That's pretty big interview.
But it was like relaxed, you know?
Yeah.
They spent a couple days together, obviously, whatever. Kevin Durant, though, decided to show up stoned to a little bit more important meeting. The one with Commissioner Adam Silver.
What did you tell Adam? How did you persuade him?
Well, he smelled it when I walked in, so I didn't really have to say much. You know what I'm saying? He kind of understood where this was going, and then I mean, it's the NBA, man. Everybody does it. You know, it's like wine at this point.
Sure. I mean, I can't imagine this from Silver's point of view. You know, you got one of the most powerful players in the league, someone who can demand a trade at the drop of a hat, and the Brooklyn Nets have to move heaven and earth to get him to Phoenix. You know, he's a very powerful person, made tons of money. He comes in for a meeting and he's just stoned.
Was the meeting about the drug test?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, it was something. What was it about?
I don't know. Samter, what was the meeting about?
I assumed it was whether to test for marijuana.
Samter, what was the meeting about with Silver?
He was talking to Silver about...
Was it about weed?
About getting weed legalized and having the NBA allow marijuana use.
But they've allowed it.
Or they don't test for it, right?
Yeah, right. That's been off. So he's talking about a story from years ago? I thought this had to be pretty recent. The NBA hasn't been testing for marijuana for a while.
I think they tested, but they weren't punishing, and I think this was just to get rid of it altogether.
Now, wait, does this make you a little bit less excited about Kevin Durant's chances of winning a championship now that he gets high all the time?
Yeah, I don't know. Some people say it makes them better at their job. I'm not one of those people, though sometimes it might sound like we're stoned on this show. We really aren't.
I have no issue with him doing this, but it doesn't feel like, you know how LeBron puts $1 million into his body every offseason? It feels like the opposite. He's putting $1 million into Doritos every offseason.
I was going to say, it's Cheetos fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Taco Bell.
I understand it's legal and maybe it helps him relax and deal with anxiety. But still, it's just the whole messaging of Kevin Durant. He's going to be remembered for being high all the time, not for winning 2 NBA titles.
No, he'll also be remembered as the bus rider. Don't worry. That one will stay with him from Charles Barkley.
Yeah, but who's going to want him to drive the bus if he's wasted?
Yeah, no, you shouldn't drive high. It's not a good thing. That I thought the Weedos in our chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, would find that particularly interesting. It's just... like, has there been a time when you found yourself in a place where you really shouldn't have been high and you were, you know? Manny just left the room. Not today, Manny. Man, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Scott is in California, wants to weigh in on our great debate series. We're doing the most disappointing NFL team of all time. Scott, who do you have?
Hey, guys. Happy Friday. I'm just cracking up at that last segment there, but I think it's more prolific than you guys. I think of Jeff Spicoli when I heard the word stoned. But anyway.
We're a little behind the times.
The 1998 Minnesota Vikings guy named Dante Culpepper, Robert Smith, Randall McDaniel.
I think it was Randall, not Culpepper, right?
No, it was the Cunningham.
Right, you said Culpepper.
Culpepper? I'm sorry. I just spoke. Cunningham. Randy Moss, and we were 15-1. And at the time, we were only the third team in the NFL to reach 15-1. And we're supposed to win the Super Bowl, and my kicker, a guy named Gary Anderson, decides to miss a 31-yard field goal. He hadn't missed a field goal or a PA all year long, and he shanks it to end that, and I ended my Super Bowl. That's the last time we sniffed the Super Bowl. I mean, we've been to the NFC Championship since, but that one was a huge disappointment for a Viking fan.
Well, wait, what about your Brett Favre pick against the Saints? That was pretty darn close, too.
Yeah, well, that was the Bounty Gate game, too. And I remember watching that game and thinking, there's something going on. They're really like, taking a couple extra steps at him. And then right after that, it all started dropping. But that was... He threw that last interception across his body that he shouldn't have thrown. He didn't need to. But 1998 was really a heartbreaker. I had a Super Bowl party planned. I had to cancel.
Oh, Scott, I'm sorry. Yeah. That's awful, but damn, you should have known better. Who plans the Super Bowl party in advance? You're a human jinx.
You're harsh, Maggie. You guys have a great weekend.
Thank you, Scott. Well, Scott and Vikings fans and Bills fans obviously have that in common.
Yeah, it feels like there's a
missed field goal comes in the Super Bowl, Scott Norwood. But there was also the other bad Vikings miss. Now, it wasn't in the conference championship game. It was in the wild card round. The Blair Walsh miss that sent the Seahawks on their way, and they won the Super Bowl.
But that brings up a question. So he said that it was a disappointing season because they were 15-1, and then they lost in the NFC Championship game. Is it disappointing if your team is great and then loses early, or are we talking about disappointing going into the season with expectations and falling short of those expectations?
That's where Perloff and I picked two teams that are so different, right? Perloff picked a team that won 14-2 but lost in the playoffs. I picked a team that was in the midst of a dynasty in the 97 Cowboys that didn't even make the playoffs that year, 6-10. So, yeah, we had a little bit of a different interpretation on what disappointing is. We also had a different interpretation on what surprising team is, because I picked the 2021 Bengals, who were a surprise but didn't win the Super Bowl, where Perloff picked the 99 Rams.
Glad we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got this all figured out.
Yeah.
By the way,
stick with us. We won't steer you wrong.
But wait, as bad as things have been for the Vikings, I do remember one miracle win they had. Justin Jefferson reached back over his head and caught this ball. What was that? I can't remember who that was against. That was last year, regular season. They were totally beaten by somebody, and they came back to win.
Yeah. Thank you.
But Maggie, that's your Buffalo Bills who actually lost to the Vikings in shocking fashion.
I don't know, but I thought you were going with the Minneapolis
So was
Miracle
I.
there
I was like
about
really
Case
confused. I'm
Keenum.
like, why are we talking junk about the Saints right now? What's that all about?
No. I was just trying to say, as bad like as the Vikings have been, the Bills challenged them throughout.
Thank you, Perloff. I know.
They do.
I know. I'm well aware. I understand. Oh, boy. Okay. Got a lot more to do, including your phone calls, great debate series, of course. We also have one Pro Bowler's future getting clearer. Hello.
Nice, Kitty.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is insane because
Perloff, you knew what you were signing up for.
No, but okay.
All of us did.
I understand that, but I don't see people walking around like, oh yeah, my brother-in-law died from a ghost pepper.
This
has never happened.
Grief.
People are also telling me that after you eat these wings, be very careful if you go to the restroom. For men, to go to the bathroom, you have to use your hands. That can be a very uncomfortable situation.
Have you
bad
seen the
enough for my
soap
throat to swell up. I don't want anything down there swelling up.
Maybe you do. I don't know.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Summer Friday. Big exhale. You made it to the end of the week. Our great debate series continues. We've been doing greatest player at their position, greatest NFL player at their position of all time. Did a little bit of a twist, though, to finish out the week today, which is the most surprising NFL team of all time and the most disappointing NFL team of all time. So, Manny, you can hit the music. Might as well play it again.
The Great Debate Series. Most surprising team ever.
And we'll give you both. Most surprising team to me, I didn't have to go back very far, the 2021 Cincinnati Bengals. Nobody saw this team coming. Now you think you could see him coming because we know that Joe Burrow is the truth. Jamar Chase, Zach Taylor as a good coach. But this was a team coming off a 4-win season. The Bengals were synonymous with losing, had not won a playoff game since 1990. All those years, Perloff with Andy Dalton, then first-round exits in the wild card round. And this was the Bengals arriving. No, they did not win the Super Bowl. They lost to the Rams, but they are my most surprising team.
Mine is the 1999 St. Louis Rams. Expected a league low 5.5 wins that year. Longest odds of any Super Bowl champion, 150-1 to win the Super Bowl. No one even. If you'd said before the season, I think that Kurt Warner, is going to lead you to a Super Bowl and reinvent offense in the NFL and set the tone for the next 25 years, you'd be like, what are you talking about? Kurt Warner, the running back on the Seahawks? How is that going to happen? There was another Kurt Warner for you young people out there. Anyway, yeah, this is, to me, the 99 Rams is the most surprising.
Okay, and while we're here, let's do most disappointing. We've already revealed it. I guess you hit the music, sure.
Maggie, you love
so familiar.
I do love this music.
The Great Debate Series. Most disappointing team ever.
Okay, my most disappointing team is the 14-2 1986 Bears. That's how I roll. 2 losses? What's your problem, Bears? Maggie.
That's it? Okay.
Well, can I just tell you, by the way,
he's not the best color guy in the business for nothing.
Yeah, okay.
I tweeted.
You got the joke off, and I laughed, and then we
Is that what we're doing here?
Okay.
Oh, can I just say
a little bit more?
I tweeted out our disappointing teams. I said, most disappointing team. Mine is the 85 Bears, and I got about 10 responses immediately. The 85 Bears went 15-1 and won the Super Bowl. I'm like, oops, typo, 86 Bears. My point being that should have been the beginning of a dynasty. They probably 4, 5, 6, or how many did LeBron say he was going to win? They should have won that many Super Bowls because this is the most dominant team in NFL history. How can you go from the most dominant team in NFL history to next year losing the opening round to Washington? 86 Bears are the most disappointing team in NFL history.
It is ridiculous, patently ridiculous, that a team that won 14 games and made it to the playoffs could be your most disappointing. My most disappointing is a team that didn't make the playoffs, had high expectations. It's the 1997 Dallas Cowboys. They go 6-10. The last year of Switzer, Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, they were all healthy that year. Deion Sanders got hurt late in the season, but they finished the year on a 5-game losing streak, infighting. I mean, Aikman and Switzer didn't get along. It was the first time they had a losing record since 1990, and it set off the never-ending search for another great Cowboys coach after Jimmy Johnson. So this was impactful, and they ended up going back to the wild card round, I believe, the next 2 years, but clearly the Cowboys were never the same, and they're still looking to get to the conference championship even for the first time since 96. So 97 Cowboys didn't even make the playoffs. There you go.
Disappointing. I'm getting a lot of, it's interesting, someone called last hour, the 98 Vikings seem to resonate with a lot of people. The 07 Patriots, too, I'm getting a lot of tweets about that.
Yeah.
That was pretty disappointing because, you know, they were on the verge of history at 16-0. Nobody saw the Giants as a real threat. Even though they ended up winning 18 games that year, the most ever, it's still, to me, that's pretty disappointing.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we could have put the Patriots on there. Absolutely. I think that, you know, the 02 Rams, I think, is kind of known as a pretty disappointing team. You put your 99 Rams as a surprise, but by 02, things had kind of fallen off with Kurt Warner, and he ended up, you know, going on to the Giants and be a backup, and then...
So if you're saying those teams belong in there, what about the 14-2 1986 Bears? Same logic.
No, but the Rams of 02 didn't win 14 games.
Well, the 01 Rams did, and they are incredibly disappointing.
Well, I would say the 02 Rams. I mean, the 01 Rams at least got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I say the team that was the biggest losing favorite in Super Bowl history is more disappointing than the 02 Rams. They were 14-point favorites over this little scrappy Tom Brady-led Patriots. There's no way they lose that game, and they did, breaking their fans' heart. Then they left the town. I mean, that was the beginning of the end for St. Louis Rams.
Yeah, that was difficult. Anyway, let us know what we missed. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You're welcome to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. The Weedos, the Purple Drinkers in the chat, and you can let us know what's going on. Okay. We mentioned before last hour about Kevin Durant showing up to a meeting with Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, and he was stoned. And he admitted that in an interview recently. Josh is in Youngstown, Ohio, wants to talk about it. Hi, Josh. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Actually, I have a couple comments. So, yeah, the Kevin Durant thing, I just think that because he's such a big-time sports figure that he's sending a bad message to the kids, saying that it's okay to do drugs because marijuana is a drug, and with all these overdose deaths we have anymore, everything being laced, I mean, you just don't know. Now, Kevin Durant can buy, he knows what he's getting because he has the money to do it, but the regular common person doesn't. And then I wanted to say the most disappointing NFL team was the undefeated Patriots. And the most surprising team was the 2020 Browns when they beat the Steelers twice, and almost beat they should have beat the Kansas City Chiefs except for a couple of bad calls.
Yeah, well, that Chiefs game was incredible, right? Because Mahomes got knocked out of the game. Josh, thank you so much for the phone call. Fair point about Durant. I guess every athlete, but I think that's very far from his mind about whether or not he's being a role model. I would say, I don't think that's in his consciousness in that way. I don't think he feels like he's doing damage by being so open about his marijuana use.
I think he's being more of a marijuana advocate. I think he actually thinks he is doing good by saying, hey, this is the same as a glass of beer or a glass of wine. That being said, I'm not sure everybody agrees with that. I'm not going to weigh in on that. He did bring up a good point. I don't know that marijuana gets laced, but I'll tell you, as a parent of an 11-year-old and a 12-year-old, we talk about fentanyl all the time. Like, every parent talks about it. Like, that's a big issue in this country.
No doubt.
So I don't think it's tied to marijuana as far as I know. I'm not in that game anymore. But, man, I would like to see some athletes talk about it. I'd like to see everybody talk about that because my kids are getting into their teenage years, and I just read these terrible stories all over.
I can't even imagine what's going to be out there when my kid becomes a teenager. He's 4 now. Everyone's like, we're going to be in space, and the Oculus. It's either you're either going to never leave your basement again, or you're going to be out there doing God knows what. It's going to go one of two ways. I'm not sure. Another disappointing NFL team, the 2011 Eagles.
Dream team.
The dream team, the supposed dream team, coined by Vince Young that they were the dream team. And today, Dalvin Cook, who is still a free agent, decided that he was going to label the team he hasn't even signed with yet the New York Jets.
You could probably say that, especially with the roster that they got put together already and with the acquisition of Aaron Rodgers. So, adding a guy like me, you know what I bring to the table. And, like you said, it could probably be a super team if we put it together.
Super team. Oh.
By the way,
ding dong, the Jets are dead.
Well, what's worse, dream team or super team?
It's the same.
But I don't understand who the Jets even add? Like, where is a super team, dream team come from besides Rodgers? That's one guy.
I mean, that's kind of a big one.
That's a pretty big deal.
And they
but I mean, the Eagles had like 11
Alan Lazard,
guys.
Nicole Hardman, you're saying?
Actually, that's what I meant. It's like Alan Lazard is part of this super dream team.
You joke, but I bet Lazard, I mean, there weren't a lot of wide receivers on the open market this year. It was like him and Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, it wasn't like it was overflowing. Lazard is not a bad ad for them.
Yeah, but it's not an element of a super team, is it?
It's
a super team. We put it together.
Once Dalvin Cook gets there, it will be a super team.
Him. What was Alan Lazard? I mean, I know last year he stepped up, but it's like a third receiver. It's not exactly Devontae Adams.
Well, they already have Garrett
He's their
Wilson.
number 2 right now.
What's that?
He's their number 2.
Yeah. But he's whatever Rodgers says.
Well, yeah, for now, by the way, unless they bring in our guy, Devontae Adams. That'd be interesting.
Oh, they traded for him?
Yeah, I mean, Mike, I know you see the buzz, the Twitter buzz.
I don't think that's happening this year. That's going to happen after the Raiders win 2 games this year when Jimmy G plays in 4 games. Yeah. They're going to win 2 games. They're going to trade Devontae, get a bunch of draft picks, and the Jets will win the Super Bowl again next year. They'll repeat.
But you will admit, they're a little light
Most
on...
surprising team ever.
They are a little light on stars to be a super team, right? Or am I...
Who are the Jets?
They've got Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, who are stars in the making. Rookie of the year on the offensive and defensive side.
C.J. Mosley, Quinnen Williams, Breece Hall. They have stars.
Oh, I don't know. Man, help me out here.
The super team, we put it together.
I don't know. Breece Hall. First of all, you just named a bunch of 22-year-olds.
Yeah, but
it's not exactly like how many Pro Bowls.
I named
how many
the offensive rookie of the year, the defensive rookie of the year.
How many
I named
All-Pros
the guy
are you
who would
on
have
that
won rookie
team?
of the year had he not injured his ACL. C.J. Mosley's a former All-Pro. Quinnen Williams is the richest defensive tackle contract.
C.J. Mosley?
Yeah.
Mosley's a multiple-time All-Pro, yeah.
All-Pro.
I mean,
Quinnen Williams is, if not right now, he might be the best defensive tackle in the NFL. If Aaron Donald is kind of slowly, declining.
Jeez,
the one thing that doesn't add up is Saleh. It's like maybe he's going to take a step forward as a coach, but like when I think about someone coaching a super team, I'm not like Rob Saleh's the guy that's going to get them there.
Well, I mean, listen.
You think about Hackett, maybe?
Jeez. What Sean Payton already thinks about the guy. Worst coach in the history of football. We couldn't even do that as a category because Sean Payton already ended the discussion. We couldn't do worst coach of all time because Sean Payton was like, he told us who it was.
No, Rich Kotite.
Dolphins feel much more super teamy. They've been collecting Pro Bowlers and All Pros all over the place.
I know, but they're not out here saying it. Actually, that's funny. Who's the worst coach of all time? Is it like a Rob Chudzinski situation?
Ray Hundley.
Can I throw
Ray Hantley?
Joe Judge in there?
Joe Judge was a disaster.
I think it's got to be Rich Kotite because you look at how good those Eagles, those Eagles teams were so good that the fact that they never won a Super Bowl, we just kind of chalked it up. They just fell short. But what he did with the Jets just showed how bad of a coach he was. He was propped up by how talented that Eagles team was. Rich Kotite is probably the worst coach that's ever been in the NFL.
It's funny, though, because the guy who's got the offer on his resume is Hugh Jackson, but I don't think anyone thinks Hugh Jackson is the worst coach ever, but he was the one presiding over the 0-16 Browns.
Yeah, that was a bad team. Hugh Jackson was a pretty bad coach,
Well,
too.
they were trying to lose.
Yeah. He'll go down to the top 5 of worst.
Which bad year for the Browns?
Both won. Yeah. They won 0 games and then 1 game.
Yeah. Rich Kotite had 4 wins. He had the number 1 overall pick, and then the next year they won so many games, he had the number 1 overall pick.
It's rough.
How many teams have the back-to-back
really
number 1 overall
Manny.
picks?
We could hear you laughing. Your mic's not even on.
Yikes.
Well, how about Yeah, I mean,
I think it's Hackett.
There are 31 other teams besides the Jets, by the way, that have bad coaches. It's not everything's not through the Jets here. There are other bad coaches. The Jets had a lot of them.
We talking about the Browns.
The Browns and the Jets pretty much cornered the market, but I'm sure
Matt Patricia was a bad coach, but I don't know if it's an all-time.
Yeah.
Again, Joe Judge had the team lining up for a quarterback sneak on 4th and 2nd from their own 7-yard line.
I know.
Nate Hackett.
That did a lot.
Probably got some love.
That did a lot of great for my mental health. Thanks a lot, Joe Judge.
Oh, man. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, so there you go. Got a little bit to chew on. Most surprising team ever, most disappointing team ever, and now suddenly most disappointing coach of all time. Now that Sean Payton has let us know what he thinks about Nathaniel Hackett. Okay, it's Friday, and Friday at this time is when the advice duck starts to get into position. So send your questions. You got questions? You need advice on something? Ooh, Christopher Waller in the chat. Jim Tom Sula.
Yeah.
That was bad.
I'm seeing a list. Urban Meyer is at the top of a lot of these lists. Did he win a game?
Urban Meyer was a disaster. Well, how did it take us that long to get to Urban Meyer? He was a total flame out. Okay. Advice duck.
Advice duck. Why didn't we go with worst coach of all time? This would have been a fantastic topic to get into.
Quickly, though, can we do our Ask the Pros? It's time to answer our Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Today's question comes from James, who's in Chicago. Have you seen the vendor hot dog video, and who had the best hot dog call? Okay, that will make sense in 1 second. You can submit a question by tweeting at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. So this one's making the rounds. These are the hot dog vendors in Chicago doing their hot dog vendor call.
Get your hot dogs, hot dogs. Hey, hot dogs, who's got the beef? Who's hungry now? Hot dogs, hey, hot dogs, hey, hot dogs, hot dogs, hot dogs.
Jeez.
How do they still have voices left after 2 innings? I'm probably buying one from that guy. He's really trying.
You're going to hear from across the stadium.
Yeah. Be like, I don't know why. I suddenly have a hankering for a hot dog. He's in the 300 section. Like, I didn't even know I was hungry.
Throwing hot dogs across the field from section to section.
Pass it over to, like, the left fielder.
From the rooftop bleachers.
Handing the money to the left fielder to pass across. Come on.
It's pretty good. I think there were a couple, though. The hot dog. That
Get your hot dogs, hot dogs. Hey, hot dogs, who's got the beef? Who's hungry now? Hot dogs, hey, hot dogs, hey, hot dogs.
Yeah, that guy.
I can admit one terrible mistake that I made because I used to be a vendor, as you guys all know, at Yankee Stadium for 5 years, from 1996 to 2001.
I did not know that.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
Samter sold soda, the worst
Mostly
possible.
soda, which is the worst thing. No, A, it's heavy. B, nobody buys more than one. And C, it sucked. However, I sold soda like 5 games in a row, and then they gave me hot dogs. And when I'm doing when you're doing soda, it's ice cold soda here, ice cold soda. Well, I was so in the ice cold soda mind frame, I was yelling out ice cold hot dogs for 4 innings.
No, thank
and people were looking at me like I was crazy. I was like, ice cold hot dogs here. Get your hot dogs, ice cold hot dogs.
Wait, okay, so do your call. So this was like those hot dog guys. Maybe back away from the microphone just a little bit so don't blow everyone's eardrums out. And so give us first the soda, and then we'll do the hot dogs. Soda.
Right. You got to bring your New York accent. Soda here. Get your ice cold soda here. Ice cold soda, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. Ice cold soda here.
Wait, why did you want to sound like you were like an old timey movie?
Listen, this is how you sold the sodas.
By the way, you can't sell Coca-Cola and Pepsi. I assume that you have to pick one, right?
Well, it depended on the day.
I like that. It was pretty good. I would probably buy that.
You sound like you're selling sodas on the Titanic. Why did you have to sound like you're so old?
Wow.
Sorry, I meant like the point of like a time frame. Not that you're going to hit an iceberg. Jeez, guys, don't take me so literally. But like back in like newspaper, like extra, read all about it. You're like selling sodas. Like, you're selling newspapers for a nickel.
You have to stand out.
Hey, did your sales were they affected by how loud you were? Like, is this call like important to make money here?
It is the only way you make money. There's 2 ways to make money. Well, 3 ways. You have to be tall, fast, and loud. I was not either of the first two, so I had to be really good at the third. There you go.
It's like, we're looking for someone tall, fast, and loud. It's like, may I present Mike Samter? It's like, what? It's got none of those qualities.
I was fast when I wasn't carrying a 40-pound tray of soda.
Yeah. Tall, so you could see them. Is that
they
so
can
they
see
can see you?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wait, what was your hot dog? Not ice cold hot dogs. What was the real hot dog?
Man, what was it? Hot dogs here, get your hot dogs, get your all beef hot dogs on a roll, ketchup, mustard, hot dogs here.
On a roll.
Hot dogs, hot dogs.
Well, remember, back in the day when I had to do this, I actually had to carry a giant tray with the hot dogs in a pot of boiling water in one side and the buns on the other side. I'd put the tray down, I'd open up one side, take the bun out, open up the other side, take out the hot dog, put it in, wrap it in a tissue, and then hand it over to somebody.
Oh my gosh.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I want to go to a ball
So
game.
throwing in the bun was crucial because if I didn't say it, then somebody may have just wanted the dog, which is weird.
Nope. Nobody. Nobody would have done that.
Yeah.
That is.
No. People did it. People would ask for the dog.
The hot dog only?
Oh, yeah.
People on Atkins and
Yeah,
things.
I was going to say that damn Atkins.
No, this
diet.
is 96. I don't think Atkins was around then.
You're right.
I feel like Atkins was like early 2000s.
That's an early 2000s thing. Man.
Can I
His job just sounds worse and worse every
quick
time.
hot dog question?
Yeah.
People have problems with putting ketchup on hot dogs. Have I heard that before?
Yeah, that's me. Like me being the person who has a problem with it.
Yeah, Maggie, you don't know about that? I don't really know much about it either because my kids put either on them.
I'm okay with whatever condiments you want. I'm not like a condiment.
No, ketchup doesn't belong in a hot dog.
What, just mustard?
Just mustard,
Yeah.
maybe a little sauerkraut, some onion relish you could do, but not ketchup.
And this
Ketchup's on a burger, mustard's on a
and
hot
this
dog.
offends you in some way?
In so many ways.
Yeah, people hate it.
So many ways.
Not as much as Patrick Mahomes putting ketchup on a steak, but it's not that far off.
Wow.
By the way, you didn't hand out sauerkraut when you were doing this, did you, Mike? Because
No,
that's
they didn't
a
have
bridge too
sauerkraut.
far.
It was just like packets of ketchup and mustard.
And relish?
Yeah, I think they had the relish as well, yes.
Mustard is vile, by the way.
Manny with the
Disgusting.
Wow.
Absolutely
Really
disgusting.
feel.
Mustard is vile? There you go.
Maggie's looking at you like, what?
Never heard that before.
Here.
It's like, you know what really sucks? Air. Air is really tough. Like, I've never heard anybody rail against mustard.
Mustard is disgusting. I digress.
Mustard?
Oh, Manny. All right.
He's like, you know what's really gross? Bread.
Yeah. It's like, I've never heard anyone say this before.
I've never heard an anti-mustard thing.
Multi-grain bread, not for me.
Any white bread kind of guy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Oh, man. The advice duck. Let's make this show get even weirder. Next segment, I'll be wearing a duck suit, answering questions. So let's just go full weird. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff, where you can get your hot dogs here. We were talking about in the break. Mike Sampler sold hot dogs and soda at Yankee Stadium. You kind of have to sound like old timey, like you're on the Titanic to sell hot dogs. You got to go sound like you're from like a black and white reel or something.
Yeah, like you're a newsie selling newspapers.
Because hot dogs are as old school food as you get. It's like Cracker Jacks and hot dogs. There's no new age. So I think Sampler had nailed it. But if you do have questions, the right duck is here to answer them. Enter the Advice Duck.
There we go. Advice Duck's in the house, everyone. You want to watch youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. This is the portion of the show when I wear a duck suit because this show hasn't been weird enough. So let's get weirder. Okay, so I have this one that came in. This is from Marta, who was in Pittsburgh, who asked, how much do you tip for a pickup order? Oh, this is like one of the age-old questions. This is so hard. I think you have to go at least 10%
No.
On a pickup
For
order.
a pickup order.
Yeah.
What if you're picking up? So you're picking up $50 worth of food at the restaurant.
Yeah.
You leave a $5 tip on a pickup order.
I do, and the advice duck does.
Okay.
Because, I'm assuming that they're pooling the tips, right? So I don't know if like people, the cooking staff probably might get tipped out. I'm not sure who's getting all tipped out here, like busboys and barbacks and whatever. I just assume it's all going to not just the woman or the man who hands me the bag. I don't think they're getting the $5. I'm assuming they're pooling these tips. So it gets spread out over the restaurant.
But 10% is very close to what you actually give a real delivery person. So you're basically, there's no delivery person. You're the delivery person. And you're giving the same tip as if a guy, fought through traffic to bring you your food.
I know. I started tipping a lot more on pickup orders during the pandemic. And I'm not sure if that has, and I've stayed with that. But for the most part, I've always done like about 10%. I've picked up my tipping more in restaurants during the pandemic, but I also grew up in this duck grew up in the restaurant industry.
God,
so
Europeans think we're so weird with our tipping. They think it's the craziest thing they've ever seen in their entire life.
Well, but we also have better service in theory than they do in Europe because they don't not working for tips.
Maybe, but yeah, I think that's nice of you to give 10%. But if it's an expensive pickup order, it just feels weird because you do pickups to save money. Otherwise, just have the delivery guy come.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes it's just sort of convenient. It's on your way home. I mean, sometimes they don't do delivery for some places. You have to come pick it up.
Okay.
Now, the question also is about the apps. Now, This is a different question. This is not for the advice duck, but I'm thinking about it. The delivery apps is tough, right? Because they're giving you the suggested tips there, and the driver knows what your tip is as they're making the delivery. So if you stiff them on a tip, they know this as they're driving your food to them.
Yeah, I actually wasn't
their food to you.
I had never thought about that. I mean, we usually tip pretty well on those different apps, but that's not good. And another thought I had, you should probably tip everybody in cash anyway, because when you tip the delivery guy on an app, then they have to share a disproportionate amount with the company, right? If you give them a $5,
I think the tips for them, but that's the thing. They don't know you're going to give them a $5 until they get there. So they might eat some food out of I'm not saying that all Uber or Eats drivers or people like that would be nefarious like this. But, I mean, if you don't tip at all, like maybe you deserve some of your fries to be gone. I don't know. Vigilante justice.
Yeah.
The advice duck's not advocating for that, by the way. That was just an aside from the advice duck's angry
So the advice duck is anti-Batman? Is that what you're going with?
I have a question
for the chat saying that they don't tip at all on pickup.
Yeah, that's because you're the delivery guy. You should get tipped by the restaurant for coming to pick it up.
So I used to not tip until I worked in restaurants, and then you realize like there's effort that goes into actually putting all of it together and getting everything ready. Like if you're at a counter shop that you're just doing a lot to go orders or people order and then walk out. If you're talking about a restaurant where you're like a waiter or a bartender and there's seats and there's tables, that's a little bit different because you're stopping what you're doing and serving other customers and you're getting silverware and all these different things. You're boxing things up. You're putting all the sides in.
Yeah, you're doing something. Yeah.
So until I worked in restaurants, I did not tip, but then I realized that you should.
You know what bothers me that's related to this?
What's that?
Do you guys use the self-checkout at grocery?
What's that?
Do you use the self-checkout at grocery?
Yes.
So basically, we're doing the work.
Whenever I can. Put it that way.
But whenever you can, you're doing the work.
Yeah.
And you are costing somebody a job. So basically, you're basically human AI. So you have to actually do free labor, and you're saving whatever the grocery store company is tons and tons of money in labor costs, and you're putting people out of work. It's a crap system, but you do it because the line is too long at the other one.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like sometimes they'll only have 1 or 2 lanes open. And
yeah, because they fired everybody because they're like, these idiots will do it on their own.
I know, but is it going to bring them back? I don't know if those jobs are ever coming back, right? Like I could sit on that line for 20 minutes and wait for everyone to check out. If it meant I knew they were going to hire another cashier, I might do it out of principle, but I don't know that.
Well, just as a whole, though, it's just a general, basically, all these companies want you to do the work for them.
Yeah.
and then they just line their pockets with more profit, and it's not a good thing. It's basically the precursor to AI.
But it's also
self-checkout.
so much faster. Like there's a shopping center that I go to, a grocery store I go to, that I can scan on my phone as I'm shopping, and then I walk out and I scan a code at the exit, and then I just walk out, and that's it.
Yeah, this is nuts. So Samter told us about this. So Wegmans is like a famous place in the
That's
Northeast.
a whole different one too,
where they are calculating what's in your cart as you're just putting it in the cart. Then they'll remove it from your order or whatever as you take it out, and then
yeah, it's like a smart cart that as you put items into your cart, it notices what you're putting in and it puts it onto your receipt. And if you take something out, it notices it and it removes it from your receipt. And then when you're done, you can pay on the keypad on your actual cart. You never actually have to see or touch anything else other than just putting things in your cart.
It's like 3 jobs he eliminated.
Yeah. By the way, and you made a ton of money for Wegmans. Congratulations.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't say the name.
I did. I guess
damn advice, Doug.
I mean, listen. I guess then. I hated the fact that people are losing their jobs over this, and it's also the one thing I never asked for. I wasn't like, man, you know what I'd love right now? A self-checkout. But now that it's here, I feel like I have to deal with it.
But don't you think it's just kind of crazy? It's like, here's this gigantic corporation, and they're like, hey, I got a great deal for you. You actually get to do the work of taking out of your, of charging yourself. So you're basically a part-time employee for this company. And not only that, we're not going to pay you, and we're going to take the money out of someone else's pocket, and we're just going to make a ton of money off this.
Have you ever seen any of those restaurants where you actually grill your own steak? I'm like, that's a hack.
Yeah, like a Korean barbecue.
Yeah,
delicious.
No, but that's awesome.
No, there's a place I believe in Denver.
Is it though? You're cooking your own food. You're now a chef.
You don't have a problem with the shabu shabu? That's probably
No,
taking
but that's
somebody out of work.
amazing. When you get to cook first of all, the waiter usually helps you. It's not like you have to go back there and start from scratch.
But like chefs go to school and get degrees and train under other chefs to learn how to cook these things great. You go into a grocery store, it's not like you have to get a master's degree to scan something. I can do it with my app or with my self-checkout.
Are you getting health benefits from Wegmans because you are working for them for nothing? I mean, what are you doing here? Make them do the work.
They're such a good company, they might no.
They probably will.
Samter, we have another one that came in, yes?
Yeah, this is a very quick one. I don't know if you heard about this, but the Baltimore Orioles are having a postseason job fair on August 1st for adding more workers for the playoffs.
Oh, cool.
So
seasonal workers.
Yes. So someone tweeted at us, Dear Advice Duck, should the Orioles be having a job fair for extra postseason workers on August 1st? Or is this too early? Do you believe in superstitions in sports?
Oh, do I ever? Now, I get why they have to do this, right? Because they need time to hire people.
Wait, Bizarre, don't they have regular season people? I'm a little curious about that.
Yes, but during the
going back to school.
postseason, because there's more fans there, and you just need extra postseason workers.
Okay, so right now the Orioles are 62-40. They're leading the division. But they haven't clinched, and they won't be able to clinch by August 1st. There'll be too much time left in the season. Oh boy.
What's their wild card sitch looking like?
Well, I mean, right now they're a division champion, so they're not factoring into that right now.
Well, I mean, if you were a season ticket holder, you probably would have to buy all these playoff tickets any day now, because that's another ripoff that they get you with.
I mean, wait, hold on one second. When did they post this? Because they're on a 2-game losing streak with the Yankees coming to town. So if they
Aaron Judge is back.
Is he back in the lineup? They posted the lineup.
Activated,
batting second and hitting DH.
There you go. And they just posted this. Let me guess, 2 days ago.
It's certainly possible.
Oh man,
I don't see when the posting started, but
I don't like where this is headed. No,
Samter's hard at work finding this information.
I think the Orioles are going to be just fine, but it is a jinx. So if you were asking the advice duck, I know why they have to do it, but I would steer clear if I could help it. All right, that was good. 855-212-4CBS. I don't think we got to the bottom of this whole tipping thing, though.
No one knows.
Moist was in the chat. He said tipping's out of control.
We haven't gotten to the bottom of anything. We don't know what DEF CON is. We don't know what several means. We know nothing.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't know what grade
together.
What grade Joe Burrow's sprain is. Not that would help, even if we did know.
We might never know. Is that bothering anyone else? It's bothering me. Okay, we got a lot more to do here, including the sound we have not played yet that we absolutely must. one megastar explains the secret behind his success. Pretty incredible. We've got that for you after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Marco Belletti.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
All right, guys. Sean Payton made headlines when he ripped former Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett and the Jets, but a day later, Payton's walking everything back.
I had one of those moments where I still had my Fox hat on and not my coaching hat on. And, I said this to the team in the meeting yesterday. We've had a great offseason relative to that, and I've been preaching that message. And here I am, the veteran, stepping in it. And, it was a learning experience for me. It was a mistake, obviously. I needed a little bit more filter.
Meanwhile, Jets seem to be a hot spot in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers has made Gang Green a preferred destination. May not be done adding. Dalvin Cook still available, and he's set for a weekend visit. Seems to be more than interested in what's cooking in New York.
Just a great vibe, man. Just getting around people that want to love on Dalvin Cook, that want to, share that value that I want, and just trying to get around some guys that want to win. I want to bring something different to the table, man. That's being Dalvin Cook, and I think that's what I bring to the table.
That courtesy of Good Morning Football, NFL Network, and Joe Burrow expected to miss several weeks with that strained calf. I'm Marco Belletti.
We are CBS Sports Radio, and our Twitter handle is @CBS Sports Radio. CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff on this Friday. Many robust debates going on today. Most surprising NFL team of all time. The most disappointing NFL team of all time. That closes out this week of the Great Debate Series. Perloff, for myself, as far as the most surprising team, I put the 2021 Bengals. I know they didn't win the Super Bowl, but nobody saw that team coming at all. Bengals were inept. And for my most disappointing team of all time, I put the 1997 Cowboys, who missed the playoffs in the midst of a dynasty.
I'll go with the 99 Rams as my most surprising, and then the 86 Bears is the most disappointing.
So we've got that. We also have had a robust debate over the future of grocery stores. And what do you tip on a takeout order? And also, do you use the self-checkout at the grocery store? And also, wait, as long as we're on these topics, it's Friday. How about when you have to scan the menu and you don't get a paper menu or a print? Yes.
Is there anybody you've ever met who doesn't find that annoying?
No, everyone wants the paper menu.
Yes,
I know.
because you're sitting there with your phone trying to get the QR code and it's dark. Anyway, sounding old there. But
it's dark. Manny, you don't have a problem with it?
No, not at all. Even better. More screen time for me.
Like you need more. Manny, we found out today, doesn't like mustard.
Yeah. Absolutely disgusting.
Man, I feel like we got to check.
Spicy, Dijon, normal, all of them.
There's any kind of mustard, sweet and sour? No.
Yellow? No.
Ugh.
Like you're repulsed by it. I just don't get
Gosh.
it. Okay. All right. Well, let's go to RJ, who's in Pittsburgh. He's got a thought on grocery stores. Hi, RJ. How are you?
Hey, how you guys doing? Happy Friday.
Thanks. Can you tell it's a Friday around here? We're talking about grocery stores and mustard. What's on your mind?
Well, that's not bad. Summertime talk. I like it.
There you go.
You got to like mustard. I think you got to go to the stadium and have some stadium mustard on your wiener. Come on.
Well, when you put it like that, what do you have on the grocery self-checkout?
I was listening to you guys, and I was cracking up because, I'm not much of a conspiracy theory guy, but I think that was business trying to figure out how they could get rid of jobs and charge us more and do less. And we've got to do all the packing. I went to the grocery store the other day and told them I was there for my 5-minute shift.
Yes. Did they get that
but
joke?
That's it. We pay more supply chain. We do all the administrative stuff. You do it on your phone, register on your phone, sign in on your phone. They do less. They give more money. It just seems odd. And the tipping, we've all, I think, worked in the service industry, and I'm a big tipper when I go to a restaurant or a bar, but to walk in, do the drive-in, get there, and take a bag from somebody and to give them 10%, I don't know.
RJ, it's funny because I said that, thank you so much for the phone call. Have a great weekend. I said I tip 10% on pickup orders. However, I do not tip on the drive-thru. So I guess I'm hypocritical in that way because if I go do fast food, I'm not tipping there.
If you tipped at the Wendy's drive-thru, they'd be like, "What, are you trying to buy drugs from me, lady? What are you doing? Who tips at a drive-thru?"
Well, nobody, but it's kind of the same. If I have the same logic.
By the way, I got down a wormhole here in the break. I'm looking at downsides of self-checkout. One thing is you can accidentally get nailed for shoplifting if you forget to scan an item and go to jail. Think about that.
I hope you would go to jail over like a box of tissues or something.
Well, second of all, social scientists say the lack of human connection is slowly eroading our society. So there's that.
Because no small talk with the
no
cashier.
small talk. But this accidental shoplifting thing is a real thing. And then, of course, professional shoplifters also love to use the self-checkout. They love the self-checkout lane.
Yes. I used to work at Tops. I used to work at a supermarket, and I remember one time I was at the Easy Scan, surveying, doing my job.
Yeah.
And there was this lady who tried to buy crab legs, but she took out the sticker and replaced it with a potato sticker. So she was trying to get crab legs for like $1.99.
Wow.
Obviously, I flagged her because come on now.
Flagged her for being awesome. That's brilliant.
It was brilliant, but I mean,
So did you get?
Way to have a keen eye, Manny. Like you're really on top of that.
Yeah.
Or how about when you get?
I tried too hard that day.
Manny's like blushing.
How many times did you have to go over when someone has a vegetable and they have to put it on a little scale? And I'd say 85% of the time it doesn't work correctly, and you have to wait for someone to come over. Does that happen to you guys?
That's the issue. It does work. There's just a certain demographic that it just doesn't work all of a sudden, if I do say so.
I get what you're putting down there. Let's get to our shot of the day, shall we? It's that time. And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. My Friday night also brought to you by Casamigos. Earlier today, we were talking about Joe Burrow's, the prognosis is it's a calf strain, and he's going to be out several weeks, and we just couldn't handle that. Technically, what's several? Like, I know a few is technically 3, right? I mean, we kind of sound like idiots having this conversation.
I always get confused. Is a grade 1 sprain the good kind or a grade 3 sprain? Because a grade 3 burn is the bad kind, right?
You know what? Or the other one I never get right. Are you trying to be DEFCON 1 or DEFCON 5?
That clears everything up.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's like single A, double A, triple A. You want to keep getting better or worse, more severe, bigger. Closer to the majors.
Welcome to Friday on the Maggie and Perloff show.
What's that line from Billy Madison? Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to what we just said.
That's all right. Can we blame the aliens on this one? I don't know. That sounded so much worse than I remember.
Yeah, after the segment, you go, I made sense there, didn't I? DEFCON 5? I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's like, you get it? Single A, double A, triple A. It's intensifying. And Perloff's like, you didn't make any sense. Sorry about that, America.
You said, bigger. I'm like, what?
Bigger skills. I got to stop digging myself out of this. I'm just a moron. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Chris is in Texas, has a problem with me putting the Cowboys, the 97 Cowboys, as my most disappointing team of all time NFL team. Hey, Chris, how are you?
All right.
Defend your boys.
They were a disappointing team, yes, but look at who their coach was.
You won a Super Bowl with that coach.
One of the worst coaches of all time.
Oh, right.
You won a Super Bowl with him. How could he be? He's not the worst ever if he won a Super Bowl.
That was despite him. Yeah. That was because we had Emmett and Michael and Troy and Dion, Charles Haley.
You still had those guys, except for Charles Haley, I think, was gone at that point. But you still had all those guys in 97. That's what made it so disappointing.
Yeah, well, I'm disappointed every time they get beat. So that goes back to being a kid, seeing the Rams beat the Cowboys in the playoffs in what was Roger Staubach's last game. I hated the Rams ever since.
You took us back there, Chris. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
I will say with Chris, though, he is consistent, if nothing else. I mean, we had best coach, he said Tom Landry. We said best quarterback, he said Roger Staubach. We did best running back, he clearly went Emmitt Smith. I think Chris at least has, a lane.
He does. He is an archetype there. I know.
Best kicker, Dan Bailey? Really?
Actually, he was actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. I don't think we ran out of time for Steph Curry on the hot ones, I think. Yeah, unfortunately we did. But this has been a phenomenal week. So we still have our great debate series is going to continue into next week. Are we going to tell
Yeah,
people?
I'm so fired up. We got to tell people what next week is.
Okay, go ahead.
Next week is Rivalry Week on the Maggie and Perloff show. That is all-encompassing. We're going to be fighting it out like Ohio State and Michigan and whatever rivalry you want. We're going to go sport by sport. Not only that, give them the twist.
So every day, one of the rivalries is going to be sports related, and one rivalry is just going to be
pop culture.
Pop culture, yeah. I don't want to say society. We're not like doing rival, religions and stuff. No. We're going to keep it very light.
I like that. That's for Wednesday.
Well, we might do Barbie versus Oppenheimer.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is sort of. And by the way, anyone seeing either movie this weekend?
No.
Anyone going to?
I already saw Barbie.
How many thumbs up? This is radio. Say it.
Uno.
One thumb up for Barbie. There you go.
Is that 1 out of 2?
We got to go. Thank you, Mike Samter. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez, the Weedos, the Purple Drinkers, the Callers. Oh, boy. Have a good weekend.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.